All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Tuesday, March 18th. It has been a busy day. And that is primarily because we just got done with GTC from NVIDIA. Didn't really affect the stock. Entire market still red, just as red as it was in the morning. We will have Jason coming on in about 20 minutes, and we will get into Technical Tuesday. But where have you been all day? We've been listening to Jensen all day. But before that, let's talk a little bit about what happened with NVIDIA today and the rest of the market. Real quick, before we get into NVIDIA, I'll have a lot more to say tomorrow, but I'll give you guys the headlines from what we got from GTC just now. NVIDIA right here at 115. I did buy 5 more shares today. Nothing too crazy, but NVIDIA is down 3.64%. Tesla still down 5%. AMD is down 1%. Google's down 2.49. Recovered a little bit from 156, now at 160, but still going to be red for the day. We got 12 minutes left to see if the market ends red. Taiwan Semi's down 2%. Amazon's down 2%. The S&P 500 is down 1.18%. BABA's down 2.8%. Robinhood's down 5%. I mean, pretty much all the core growth stocks that people look at, Meta getting smacked today, down about 4%, are red on the day. Palantir as well, down about 3.84%. It's not as red as it was in the morning. Some stocks are the same. I mean, Tesla was at 222. Now it's at 225. So still relatively red, even if it's not as bad as it was in the morning. But nonetheless, yeah, it's a red day. Now, why is it red? I think it's pretty simple, dude. Even with Jensen, J Powell, even with Jensen saying what he's saying, which has been pretty bullish, and we'll look at it in a second. J Powell speaks tomorrow. And because J Powell speaks tomorrow, I think at the end of the day, the market is very afraid. I'll be live at 2:20 tomorrow, Eastern. 2:30, we are officially going to get the FOMC meeting. 2 p.m., we'll get the rate cut decision. And I think people are just afraid of what Jensen's going to say. And as a result, that's some of the problems we're having right now with the market. And that's why people are probably just selling off, waiting until J Powell speaks. Now, before we get into the GTC highlights, we do have an update on Russia, Ukraine. Trump says, my phone conversation today with President Putin of Russia was a very good and productive one. We agreed to an immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure with an understanding that we will be working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to this very horrible war between Russia and Ukraine. This war should have never happened or never started if I was president. Many elements of a contract for peace were discussed, including the fact that thousands of soldiers are being killed, and both President Putin and President Zelensky would like to see it end. The process is now in full force and effect, and we will hopefully, for the sake of humanity, get the job done. So that tweet in and of itself feels kind of bullish, right? That you're getting a conversation. That conversation is hopefully going to lead to some progress, and that progress inevitably is going to lead to the end of this bloody war. But then 7 minutes ago, Zelensky comes out and he says, I expect Russia to continue attempt to grab more land. I don't, basically Zelensky saying, I don't believe Russia is actually ready for a ceasefire. And then finally he said, I would like to talk to Trump about the Russian proposal. So although Putin and Trump, from Trump's perspective, had a quote unquote productive conversation based on how the conversation was communicated to Zelensky, he has some words for if this is actually a productive conversation and negotiation. And obviously it makes sense. Ukraine probably has their own interests, and those interests might not have been represented to the extent that he wanted them to be represented in Putin and Trump's phone call. So I don't really think this is a catalyst for the markets yet. I don't think this is a catalyst for peace. I think until all three parties come to the conclusion that we will have a ceasefire on the mutual agreed conditions, which does not seem like that is the case, even though Trump's tweet tries to frame it that way. Celsius, by the way, up 1.29%, one of the only stocks that's green in a sea of red. I think that's not a catalyst yet. And so I think it'll take some time until we officially get something in a way that either markets can respond to, or all three of those countries can respond to in a way that says, yeah, this thing is hopefully coming to an end. So from that perspective, no updates on that are actually that meaningful. In terms of NVIDIA, what happened? Well, they said a couple of things. So if you are watching the stream live, you probably got these main highlights. There was 3 big things that Jensen announced. Number one is he highlighted what's going on with DeepSeek. So he said this last year, almost the entire world got it wrong. He's talking about DeepSeek and R1. The amount of computation we need at this point because of agents and reasoning is easily 100 times more than what we thought we needed. And he is correct. If anyone has gone on ChatGPT or XAI and they played with deep research or reasoning mode, when you type in a query, it gives you a much better answer, but it takes a lot more time to get that answer. And the reason it takes a lot more time to get that answer is because it's basically talking to itself back and forth, trying to come to a conclusion. In fact, kind of gives me anxiety when I'm watching the thing talk back to itself. It's like my head talking back to myself all day, but it's like, well, maybe I should do this. Well, actually, if I do this, I should do this. And then it like keeps going, and then it gives you an answer. And that answer tends to be better, but it takes more time. And in order to get that time to be shorter, you need more computational power. You need more computational infrastructure. And so Jensen's argument is like, you guys are thinking of this the wrong way. This is not bearish for NVIDIA. This doesn't mean that chip demands are going to slow down. In fact, it means that chip demand is probably going to increase at a level that is pretty astronomical, because now every company wants a reasoning model. And for that reasoning model to take place, you need more infrastructure for it to make sense. He also announced GM is going to be partnering with them to build autonomous driving.
I'm super excited to announce that GM has selected NVIDIA to partner with them to build their future self-driving car fleet. The time for autonomous vehicles has arrived, and we're looking forward to building with GM AI in all three areas. AI for manufacturing, so they can revolutionize the way they manufacture. AI for enterprise, so they can revolutionize the way they work, design cars and simulate cars, and then also AI for in the car. So AI infrastructure for GM, partnering with GM and building with GM their AI. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited.
Okay, so what's interesting about this is GM has been working on autonomous driving, but they shut that part of their division down. This was on January 29th. It was called Cruise. They bought Cruise for about 1.2 billion bucks, and they were like building it out for a while, but then they shut it down. Cruise was an autonomous startup in Silicon Valley. Kyle Vogt, I believe, was the CEO of that. He was the former CEO of Twitch, if I'm not wrong. And when they shut it down, everyone thought it was super bullish for Tesla, because GM was basically saying, hey, we can't figure out autonomy. We're not going to solve it. We're out of the game. Well, it looks like they're back in the game. And they're in the game for Jensen's version of building autonomy, aka the Cosmos platform, where they use synthetic data. So not FSD, real world type of data that Tesla sees, but synthetic data that is created through NVIDIA's Cosmos platform to be able to train those models to then build self-driving within OEMs. And I think there's going to be a lot more OEMs outside of just GM that partners with NVIDIA. That gave Tesla a bit of a red candle. Now, granted, Tesla has recovered a little bit from those lows at 222, but what people are starting to think, and this was Tom Narayan's point from RBC, who's one of the best analysts on Tesla this morning, who actually explicitly said, we think that self-driving to an extent is becoming a bit more commoditized. Tesla's also down because BYD introduced some new battery technology, and that might be a headline reason why Tesla's down. But I think the real reason is that downgrade. When you really read that report, it starts making you question how valuable FSD is going to be outside of the new version of FSD, or quote unquote FSD, being created in all these different OEMs. Now, will GM be able to come up with something as good as Tesla because of NVIDIA's platform? Maybe, maybe not, right? That's the risk you have to take if you're investing in Tesla or investing in NVIDIA, because if they do figure it out, NVIDIA's probably gonna make a lot of money off that. But nonetheless, this is an age where a lot of players are going to be trying to fight this game. If you believe in Tesla, you believe they have a proprietary advantage. If you don't, then you believe it might be more commoditized than not. NVIDIA right here down 3.42% on the day. Google down 2.43%. Google did buy a company for $32 billion in cash. Cloud security company. I like the deal. I don't think it was a horrible deal. Maybe it was a little bit pricey, but nonetheless, it gives them an upsell on their cloud offerings with GCP and hopefully expands their growth rates. But Google is down 2.45% on the day as well. Rocket Lab is below 18. There you go, 17.99, down about 5.81% on the day. The final thing that NVIDIA announced outside of the GM partnership and the concept of more and more compute was a partnership with Disney, Google, and NVIDIA, which was a Newton physics engine, and it has to do with robotics. It's expected to be available later this year. I don't really know what this is yet. I mean, they didn't explain much about it. They just kind of showed a video. I'm sure we're going to get more details soon. They are also open sourcing Groot N1, an open source generalist model for humanoid robots, which makes a lot of sense. NVIDIA wants to be the de facto chip inside of Figure, Apptronic, etc. Oh, by the way, Apptronic, speaking of humanoid robots, they just raised a monster round of $403 million. And it's pretty aggressive. I am an investor in this company, just to disclose. I invested in the round before this round, but they got funding from Google, Mercedes, and a bunch of these other VC funds / strategic partners. And there's Jeff, the CEO right there. This is a company that doesn't get talked about a lot, but Google did contribute a significant amount into this funding round. They put out a video with Apptronik last week about their sort of DeepMind brain being inside of Apptronik. And from my understanding, I mean, I don't know the exact details, but Apptronik was on NVIDIA's stage a month ago. So I would imagine the chips inside of Apptronik are NVIDIA chips. So yeah, it does seem like robots are going to be a thing. Optimus is going to be a thing. Figure is going to be a thing. Apptronik's going to be a thing. If I had to, put the top 3 ones out there outside of the ones from China, it's Apptronik, Figure, and Tesla. They're the ones that are the most well capitalized and have the most strategic partners, ecosystem, brains, aka AI, to actually build autonomous robots. But it seems like that world is coming. Jensen explicitly said this could become the biggest market opportunity of our lifetimes. And I personally believe he's right. We're going to need to see a lot of execution from these companies to get there. But if he ends up being right on that, open sourcing an entire humanoid robot platform, which is what they did today with Groot 1, that's bullish. Because to me, that's essentially them saying, hey, we're willing to work with anybody. Just like with self-driving, they are willing to work with anybody. Jensen doesn't really care if Tesla wins. He just cares that self-driving as a concept wins. And same thing with, he doesn't care if Figure wins or Apptronik wins or Optimus wins. He just cares that robots as a concept wins. And if they can provide the platform to build robots and to build self-driving cars, then that's what NVIDIA really cares about. I got a part in the round because it was through Chris Camillo. Chris Camillo got me in. It wasn't in the Series A. I was in the bridge round before the Series A. So they had a bridge round that was February 2024. They closed it in March, and then they just raised this additional Series A, which was only supposed to be 353 million, but today they announced it's 403 million because they were oversubscribed. So they got an extra $53 million just because there were so many investors that wanted exposure to this, which to me is going to be the same thing when the street wakes up to Optimus, which it hasn't woke up to yet. And I can't blame them because Tesla is just posting pictures with Optimus and Kim Kardashian. They're not really showing a ton of progress yet. But eventually, when that progress is real, I do think this is going to be something the street's going to wake up to and realize that it's a very, very big opportunity. But as of now, that is not something that Tesla is waking up to right now, or that the street's waking up to right now. All right, we got 20 seconds left until the market closes. We will have Jason on in just a little bit, go through all these technicals, see what he's buying, what he's selling, if he's bearish, bullish. Obviously, it's going to be a nasty red day. Grab was up 3.6% today on those rumors of acquiring GoTo. Grab should have been taken down with algorithms like the rest of the market, but that rumor is what kept it up. I think that rumor has some real legs behind it. So, maybe that's why it stayed green today. Nothing else was really that green. You had some China that was green, some financials that were green, but pretty much everything else in the growth space, SMCI down 9% because NVIDIA didn't mention them once today in the conference. Everything else pretty much red on the day. Tuesday, March 18th, 4 p.m., the stock market is now closed. All right, another day of March where we go red. Tesla. Oh, by the way, I just saw someone mention something on Robinhood. Dude, Robinhood is wasting no time. Take a look at this. If you go to the app, you will see this. You can bet on the Fed funds rate in May. You can literally bet on it right now. They are wasting no time. They are officially expanding into the prediction markets. I love it. It's going to be a brand new stream of revenue. It's going to be a whole new form of engagement. And if you don't like it, just scroll past it. That's it. It's for the people that hate it, just you scroll past. That's it. So I think that's going to be really exciting for them, but they are not wasting any time to get into prediction markets. Tesla was down 5.3% on the day. SMCI was down 9.63%. Dell was down 1.2%. Rocket Lab was down 5.8%. AMD was down 1%. Google was down 2%. Amazon down 1.4%. NVIDIA down 3.43%. Celsius was green, up 1.47% on the day. The S&P 500 is down 1% on the day, well below the 200-day moving average at 561. S&P 500 again down 1%. Alibaba was down 3%. JP Morgan was slightly up. Robinhood was down 4.5%, but did close above 40. Lazar, that company that was in the Mark Rober video, that's up another 6% after being up 20% yesterday. HIMS was down 9%. Bank of America reiterated how bearish they are on HIMS. I don't know why they hate HIMS, but they really do not like this company. I mean, like that analyst comes out with a new note every week saying that this thing's going below 20. So I don't know. Maybe that analyst is going to be right, or maybe it's going to be the Rishi of HIMS. But That one is down 9.22% on the day. Grab again ended on the day positive 3.3%. Affirm right here down 8% on the day, losing another 8% after losing 5% yesterday from that Walmart partnership they lost to Klarna. Williams Sonoma was down 1.4%. D-Wave was down 3% on the day. Adobe was down 2%. Meta was down 3.72%. Cheesecake Factory was down 0.5%. Palantir was down 4%. Archer was down 2.4%. The Archer interview is coming out tomorrow along with the rest of the interview. So for everyone asking about it, tomorrow it will be out probably like 5 p.m.-ish or after the market close. So like call it 6, 7 p.m. But I'm going to put all the interviews in one big video and chop them up with chapters. So all those interviews will be out tomorrow. Apple as well, down about 0.5% on the day. Celsius was green. Intel was green. Intel up 1%. I think Verizon green. Verizon was green. Again, your traditional value names, Berkshire Hathaway as well, slightly green on the day, 0.04%. Everything else that was rooted in growth ended up being red today. So that's what we got. Amit is pro gambling. If you struggle with gambling addiction, please contact the gambling hotline number. I heard some people's arguments. They were like, well, you don't have any sympathy for people who are addicted to gambling. I'm like, no, I just don't believe that one company needs to acquiesce to the small percentage of people on Robinhood that might have a gambling addiction. And I also think options are gambling. I don't care if you're selling a put. I don't care if you're buying a call. It is a form of gambling. You could lose all your money doing it. And there's a start and end date to your ability to be correct on the trade route that you go down when it comes to an option. So to me, if we're going to separate gambling from the app with sports betting or prediction contracts, we should separate options. But it's kind of stupid to separate options because that makes no sense. Well, if that makes no sense, then we probably, so it's like, to me, there's too many bright lines for this to make sense. But yeah, I guess there's people that really are against gambling. The 10-year did come down today, which was nice. Not sure why it came down towards the end of the day. I mean, maybe just before Powell speaks, people want to buy up some bonds in case there's any volatility. 4.287%. It was at 4.35 in the beginning of the day. So that one coming down is not the worst thing in the world. Rheinmetall doing well and safe. Yes. The German DAX hit a new high today. So yeah, Germany, European defense stocks continue to do their thing. I mean, it's up another 5.47% today, dude. Holy crap. Look at this thing. Year to date, 155%. Germany announced something today. They announced some new reform thing in defense. What did they announce? They passed historic debt reform, paving the way for higher defense spend. Yeah, this was the headline. So makes sense that the defense stocks in Germany continued to get a bid. Again, dude, congrats. If you were in the German defense stocks, the European defense contractors, all I can do is tip my hat to you. I mean, you have the right place to be in a world where the United States not only got expensive, but ended up being a place where people did not want to be in. So if you ended up being there, I don't think that's the worst place. And now it's a question of like, why would you sell, right? Unless you think it's a bubble, but given all the amount of money that European governments are going to spend, it's probably not as bubbly, even if it takes a little bit of a breather here. So early in the year, you just had a good rotation and you probably get to benefit from that rotation. Let's get an update from the Putin President Trump conversation, and then we will keep going from there.
More details on President Trump's call with Russia's President Putin. Megan Casella is here with the details. Megan.
Mike, we just got a chance to hear from President Trump directly via a post on Truth social media, giving us some more details on that call earlier today that was at least 90 minutes in length. President Trump saying that that call was very good and productive and confirming that they agreed to an immediate ceasefire on energy and infrastructure with an understanding, he says, that we will be working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to this war. So saying there that they're acknowledging they're not yet at that full ceasefire the U.S. had been pushing for and backing, but saying that that is on the way. He also says both President Putin and President Zelensky of Ukraine would like to see this war end, and that process towards getting there is now in full force and in effect. I also want to flag, Mike, that we also got a readout just in the last hour or so from the Kremlin, and we actually got a few more details from the Russian side of things on just how this call went. The Kremlin flagging that President Trump was the one to put forward those ideas on the ceasefire ceasefire on energy and infrastructure, as well as something in the Black Sea, implications there for shipping and so forth, saying that there would be a ceasefire negotiated there as well. Russia also saying there will be an exchange with Ukraine of 175 prisoners, 175 on each side being exchanged. But most crucially, Russia saying it was emphasized that the key condition for preventing further escalation in this war and working towards its resolution will be the complete cessation of foreign military aid and the provision of intelligence information to Kyiv. So flagging that there, Mike, because that's a very high bar to clear, and we do not know yet whether the Ukrainians or the U.S. would agree to something like that. Russia saying they would have to see complete cessation there in order to agree to something like a 30-day ceasefire, let alone an actual peace deal. So much more to watch, clearly more to go, even as we have a major step forward today towards that ceasefire. Mike?
Yeah, for sure. Megan, thanks so much.
So, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Zelensky doesn't exactly like what's going on with these negotiations. Trump is liking them more. Putin's liking them more. Zelensky's not happy with it. So until we get all three of them actually coming to a conclusion, we're not going to have any meaningful catalyst in the markets or in general for peace. So I think we're going to get there. I think it's going to be later than sooner. Hopefully it's before April 2nd. That's when we have the tariff war showdown that officially starts taking place. If the tariffs get implemented, that is still a big if that we're going to find out in the next coming weeks. But that is going to be something very important to keep your eyes on as we navigate this. S&P 500 again ended down on the day 1%, up a little bit after hours. BABA's up a little bit after hours as well. Intel as well, up 0.19%. Tesla up a little bit as well, but the majority of them still red on the day. Jason should be coming in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will begin Technical Tuesday and keep going from there. But those are the main headlines we have right now. There was a couple of other, so two other things. So Starlink just announced they have 1 million, or SpaceX just announced they have 1 million Starlink Roam customers. So SpaceX, $350 billion private company, continues to show massive growth when it comes to Starlink. And here's another thing that came out today. Speaking about Elon, remember how Elon and Doge basically got rid of U.S. aid because they felt that we were giving too much aid to too many different organizations? A federal judge said, yeah, closing it down was unconstitutional. For the foregoing reasons, this court finds that defendants' actions taken to shut down U.S. aid on an accelerated basis, including its apparent decision to permanently close the headquarters without the approval of a duly appointed U.S. aid officer, likely violated the United States Constitution in multiple ways, and that these actions harm not only plaintiffs, but also of the public interest. The motion will be granted and the court will be issuing the accompanying preliminary injunction dated March 18th, 2025. That was today. He's ordered, this federal judge, that Doge reinstate almost all of U.S. aid's functionality. Now, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be really interesting because it's going to be a question of, like, do they go back and forth? Do the Doge lawyers try to fight with a federal judge? Are you even allowed to really appeal what a federal judge says when it comes to this? And it puts another thorn in what Elon's trying to do, which is aggressively cut. And the problem here is if you try to be very aggressive with the cutting, you will run into roadblocks like federal judges, 9th District Court of Appeals, that are just going to say, hey, this is unconstitutional. You can't do it. And it might take Elon a lot more time to be able to get what he wants to get done versus coming in and just trying to slash everything immediately. But yeah, that was denied from that federal judge today. BSOV says it's technically semi-small bullish Tesla. If everything Doge does is blocked, I wonder if Elon gets bored and quits and goes back to Tesla stuff. You know, I've thought about that as well, and I think that's not a crazy argument. However, I think Elon is so convinced that he's going to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion, or that Doge is going to create $1 trillion in savings, which as a byproduct might get the deficit to come down by, you know, close to 500, 700 billion, that he really wants to, like, fight for this. And in fact, it might be more bearish for Tesla because now that he's now going to have to get into a court battle and really fight for the ability to get these actions to take place. But if he does get rejected at every single step of what he's trying to do, Elon's not really a quitter. So I can't imagine him leaving, but I could imagine him saying, be like, you know what, screw this. I'm going back to Tesla. And by then, who knows what would happen to Tesla if that does take place. Let's get an update from Dan Ives, Josh Brown, and their thoughts on NVIDIA. This was right before the NVIDIA conference, but here's what they had to say about the price action and the long-term trajectory for why they're still bullish NVIDIA.
Wedbush's global head of technology research. You know him, colorful as ever, Dan Ives. He has an outperform rating and a $175 target price on those NVIDIA shares. Notable bull, especially in technology. Bullish as your outfit right now. So let's talk about whether or not Jensen can deliver the goods at GTC this afternoon.
I think it's going to be a watershed event. I mean, I think when you hear from the godfather of AI, Jensen, he's going to lay out what demand looks like for Blackwell. And ultimately, I mean, right now, we believe 15-to-1 demand to supply, you know, in terms of what we see for Blackwell. It's about not just things like in terms of Rubin and others, physical AI, autonomous robotics. And I hear everything that Josh is saying, but in my opinion, we are in year 3 of an 8 to 10 year build out for the AI revolution. And that's why it's so front and center what we're going to hear from the godfather of AI, Jensen, you know, in San Jose.
All right, so NVIDIA shares have now pulled back notably, not as much as other mega cap technology stocks have, but a lot of it was driven by kind of the recent quarterly reports that have come out. The fundamentals are very much intact. Nobody's going to dispute that. But the question is relative to expectations. And that's where NVIDIA ran into some problems with its most recent numbers. They're still growing and by a rapid clip. But why are analysts then so much more bullish where they cannot meet exactly or exceed a lot the expectations that are out there?
I think it's a digestion period. I mean, I think we go through the next 4 quarters, you're going to ultimately see, I think street numbers are going to come up 15, 20% over the next few years. I think buy side definitely is very negative here, but as this all plays out, I think it's a stock that has a 2 in front of it, because the AI revolution, so remember, despite DeepSeek in terms of everything we saw there, with some of the Cinderella story in terms of some of the fears in terms of NVIDIA on the chip side, there's one chip in the world fueling this, it's NVIDIA.
This is the cheapest you have been able to buy NVIDIA stock since October of 2022, before the launch of ChatGPT, which set off the AI era. So NVIDIA in the AI era, as the leading player in AI, has never been a better bargain than it is today. The stock is, the company has 52% growth expectations for this year. It's now a 20 forward PE. How insane is this market right now, where they would rather buy Walmart at 30 some odd times earnings than this at 20? Walmart, if they're lucky, might be growing high single digits this year.
I'd say in
This is pretty much the same argument that Steve's been making. NVIDIA is the cheapest that it's ever been since the beginning of this AI revolution with ChatGPT. And now it's going to be a question if the market ultimately recognizes that. All right, folks, it's been about a week since we've done Technical Tuesday. We are back. Lock in for the next 2 to 3 hours. We got a lot of charts to look at. But before, it's time to roll the intro.
We made it. We made it. It has been a while. What's up, party people? I had a drink right here. And it's gone.
You have a Celsius? You have a Celsius? What do you have?
Yo, somebody made a comment. I don't have a single Celsius in here.
Well, when I was there.
Do you know how many cases of Red Bull you can fit in a mini fridge?
Yeah.
Just saying. This is like a solid 5-case fridge.
Dude, let me ask you a question before we get started. What is a mocktail?
What do you mean? I don't drink alcohol, sir. I drink mocktails. By the way, I almost died of secondhand embarrassment of your mocktail comment.
I was trying to get you to agree with me that you didn't know a mocktail had no alcohol in it, but
Bro.
dude, I thought it was mocking the cocktail by having a little bit of alcohol. So
when you said that, and then your reaction, like in mid thought, you're like, oh, they're mocking. Oh, and then you're like, you got the embarrassed moment. You're like, dude, that guy must have thought I was.
Yeah, I told the bartender, I was like, give me just one. I don't want to get too buzzed tonight. And he was probably looking at me like, this fucking idiot, bro. Like, regardless, dude, it's been a week.
Wifey saw that, and she's like, yeah. She's like, I almost died of secondhand embarrassment, dude.
At least the wifey laughed. At least we got her to laugh. So that's good. That's good.
For sure. Well, I don't know if it was a laugh, but anyway, she's like,
that's who you stream with every Tuesday, really? That's who you leave me for 3 hours to stream with. But
You know, you listen, man. You gotta make it look a little bit better because yeah, she sees. But anyways,
all right, so
all good.
let's get started with the
Okay.
S&P 500. But I want you to obviously give all your thoughts around what's going on in the macro, and then we can start with the S&P, and then we'll get into all the tickers we got to get into.
I guess that means you want me to share a screen or something, huh?
And I think
Let's do that.
I hope it works. And
What screen is this? This is screen number 8.
Also, you guys can't tell me in the chat that every single one of you knew a mocktail didn't have alcohol in it. Like, I refuse to believe all of you,
Dude.
were like, I just refuse to believe that. I'm pretty sure some of you guys are on my side on this. Just saying.
Nobody was on your side, bro.
Saying, bro.
I'm just telling you. I love you to death. But you're on your own, bro.
All right, is this market going up or down, Jason? What the hell's happening?
I actually I actually think that it's done going down. I think we're done going down. I did a like a impromptu kind of stream on Friday, and I was comparing. So from a technical perspective, and I know like people just yell at me left and right about this. It's not from a technical perspective. I get, or from a fundamental perspective, I understand that this is not exactly the same as 2022. But from a technical perspective, this is the exact same setup as 2022, like it or not. And I think to that end, I'm just kind of tinkering with this stuff right now. To that end, you know, markets go kind of like all over the place in this moment. I'll start out with the good is I think that we're in for a really good dead cat bounce. I think that when we look back at 2022, you can see technically this was an all-time high, 20-day simple moving average, 50-day simple moving average, and we just whooshed all the way down. Really to what is this? This happens to be a little bit bigger bounce, but let's just go from a day-to-day perspective. This is basically the exact same technical setup. And from the high to the low, that ends up being 12.25%, give or take, 12%. But a dead cat bounce can be good, right? Like it can be really strong. So this from here to here was almost 9%, if that makes sense. Once you breach that 200-day, you get a couple days sideways chop, and then you can get a pretty good relief rally. And we have FOMC tomorrow to look forward to. And that's, now that you look at that setup and then you look at today, you should be able to see the technical similarities, right?
Let me ask you a quick question. Yesterday, did you think the S&P would lose 1% today? Were the charts kind of pointing to that or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So so I'm gonna preface this with like it's 555 to me. Somewhere in between 555, which is right here. That's that red line, and 550. Call it 1. This is 552, but I'm just going to say it's 551. When I turn my fundamental levels on, which is really just like this NFP stuff, it comes down to this box, right? So those two red lines that I just drew are right there. As long as we're over 555, I think that we're done going down. Does that mean that we have to go up? No, it doesn't. That's the issue, right? And I think where most people kind of get confused because we were just in this like epic bull market for so long. Look, I don't know that we're in the bull market the same way, but this kind of 10% or whatever percent decline that was, let's say from here.
It was the fastest. It was one of the fastest 20% or 10% moves in history.
Yeah, but yeah. So there also was too much technical damage. There's too much technical damage to say that we're in the same kind of market. We're just not, right? And so even if I replay from here, and I'll just take these levels off just so it's a little bit cleaner. This starts to look very, very similar. And this is 2022. Not to say that we're at 2022, because if you sold at this point in 2022, it didn't really do you any favors. So I'm going to stick with I don't think that it's time to sell. But the flush came in pretty hot and heavy, right? Like that's a scary one. But just that alone, this looks very much like where we are right now. And it only took like a couple weeks, a smaller bounces, right? But that was like a 10% bounce. That's a big bounce. If I take this off to where we are, I mean, that's pretty dang similar. These red lines. So when I put I use these non-farm payroll levels as a fundamental event that creates my technical trend. We're not going up until we have like a full day's open and close over 565, right? So that what that has to look like is at some point, maybe next week, it could be as early as tomorrow, post FOMC, but we need to have candles looking pretty much just like this. And that could easily happen. One day can change all of this. And I think that's what that would look like. Is it tomorrow? I can't say that. Because I think we'll open pretty flat because of FOMC. And then it's J Powell's market from there. And this one day could, like, it would easily change everything. And then you would be looking at that kind of like 3-day, 5-day, some kind of run, which would look like this. And I think there are two spots to take a look at. So I'm going to take these levels down again. But until then, as long as we're over 555, I don't think that we're going down anymore. That's just definitively true. What you're looking for really today is kind of like a higher low. So if this was the last high, just on a very small structure here, we did break that 565 level. We didn't close above it today, but that's fine. I think that the trading range, if you will, is like right in here. I got to change that.
Can I ask a question real quick? Do we need to recapture the 200-day, so 570, for this to be intact or no?
So recapture, can you define that? Because I think that's a sensitive.
I would say close above it and then stay above
one
it.
time.
No, like we stay above 570. We don't have to go to 590
forever.
I mean, yeah, for the rest of the year. Like, do we need to be at that level for this to be a bull market, or at least have a chance of it being a bull market?
No, much higher. Legitimately much higher. So you might really not like it. So you're going to run into this area right here first. Let me just put this back on. So these are I think you get into this area. And I'm just going to do arrows. So what you're looking for two trading ranges, essentially. One here and then one to here. So you have two areas where the bears are waiting. So one is like in this little box here. Then you're going to get over the 20-day and everybody's going to be like, oh, it's not so bad. It was all just fake. And then you could potentially have another one that comes in this form, right? And all of this, the thing is, even if all of this happens, it could still be a sell.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be really cautious, because the dead cat bounce to me would look just like this. In this white box is like, I wouldn't really want to trade much, because I would be more concerned of potentially having something that goes a little bit like this, and then you could be right back at the lows very quickly, go sideways, and then something like that. But markets don't go like in straight lines. Markets are running and then they rest. So we just made a big run, unfortunately, to the downside. Now we're going to rest essentially in this little area. I think right in here. Ideally, right in here. Maybe that's for the rest of the week. But after that, so that takes us to next week. We do want to start to see next week trading well over 565. And then, and these are the two, 1 week up, maybe a week sideways, another week up. And that would take us right into April 2nd, if you will.
Which is the tariff day, yeah.
Which is the tariff, right? And I think that you actually could make this kind of move. you know, in my streams, and I talked to you briefly about, is like the truth of the matter is, so I live in California with a bunch of women. No, I don't live with my mother, but I'm not like, I don't live with my mother, but I talk to my mother a lot, and I do manage the family trust. And, you know, so for people like me, it's like we're managing money of people that are retired. And so there's two mentalities of market participants. One is, let's call it wealth creation. That's like buy Palantir $9, hold it to the moon, never sell, right? Buy Hood at $8-9, hold it to the moon, never sell. I love, still my largest position, still highest conviction, by the way. But at the same time, you only need to get rich once. Yeah. That's what's true, right? And so there's a whole nother cohort of people who are like, well, especially the Dems, my mom is like, I told you, you can't trust them. And she's like, I don't trust anything. And so there are people out there that are really like that. And so she actually was like, it's a big deal. I want to put some money into some money market funds. And I know that's not where the money's technically going, but there are people out there that are like, I just don't trust anything that he says. And that's there. And you have, so we did move a little chunk of cash, because you need to have that safety net. Right.
Because also your mom's made money in her life. She wants to protect it. She doesn't want to see it.
She's not working anymore. Like, this is it. Right. So like we have rentals and stuff like that. And that's fine. It's not like anybody really lives off of trust. But the thing is, like, if shit hit the fan, you need it. Right. And so there's a wealth planning, wealth conservation mentality out there. And then there's still like the wealth generation, like creation. And I think that we're potentially in that area of like, well, you know, we may be shifting, right? But anybody that was a Dem and not a Trump fan is definitely yelling at the others, I told you so. And anybody that's a Trumper is like, I think you said it, right? Nobody thought that he would do us like this, right?
Or they're accepting short-term pain for long-term gain, because what else can you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so what I will say is that this bounce needs to be good. Black Mamba, she is old money. Yeah. So this bounce needs to be good. And if it's not great, then I think we could be in trouble for a couple years.
Oh my.
I don't want to I'll just put that out there.
Wait, but why? Why would it be a multi-year issue?
Well, markets move in 4-year cycles, right? And it's pretty much around the presidential cycle. Actually, I've seen you put a chart up of the first year election cycle.
Yeah, I'll share it again.
Hold on. Let me share one. Because you don't have the one that I have. So this is 4 years. So your chart is only looking at the first year.
Yes.
And that's a problem, right? Because the markets they run through a 4-year cycle, right? So year one, it's an okay year. And we really are like, actually, we're like here. And technically, for your chart, it's accurate. What your chart doesn't show is year two. Year two is not a good year.
And that tends to be a midterm year as well, usually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if this next high that let's say we make a nice dead cat bounce, if that's not a new high and this locks a lower high, then 2026 could be rough. Which ends up being 2026 October lows you buy, September, October lows you buy. In the meantime, I think that what's happening is that we clearly have a growth scare, right? And so, you know, if I look at, you know, where was money going, it is definitively going to gold, right? And
are you exposed to gold at all, or not much?
Am I opposed to gold?
No, exposed to it.
I own physical gold.
Okay. And
like physical silver, but I don't have. And honestly, I've shorted gold more recently, believe it or not, because I'm also of the mindset where like, okay, what is happening? What's real right now is that this is a growth scare, That's what this is. The market is reacting to a growth scare. The market's not thinking that inflation's going up. It's not going up. The numbers are good. But of the 4 types of markets, reflation, deflation, stagflation, and Goldilocks. Goldilocks is gold. So there's 4. Goldilocks is 2% inflation, 2% GDP. Stagflation is decreasing inflation and decreasing growth.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if inflation's not increasing and it's coming down, right? We're not in the reflation phase, right? So that's out, right? I don't know that we're in deflation necessarily, but we are coming out of what the market was pricing in as Goldilocks, if you will.
Correct.
Right? And so if inflation comes down, that's great. But if growth doesn't grow at the same time, that does put you in a bit of a stagflationary environment, which is what I would categorize right now as a growth scare. And in that environment, there's only one trade, and that one trade is gold.
Mm.
And
Wait, it's not Bitcoin, digital gold?
No. I have a couple of things, but there is. Let me just open this. So here's the 4, right? So in a stagflationary, I think this was 100-year data collection. If it's stagflation, gold is 22% outperformer.
Wow.
It's a huge trade, right? If we're going back to Goldilocks, then we if you don't believe in the growth scare, and you think it's all BS because it's a scare. We don't have any hard numbers to back it up. It's a if, maybe, potentially, I don't know kind of thing. There's nothing that's actually real just yet, which is why we're having this situation. They're scared about tariffs potentially, tampering growth, right? And so we come out of this and maybe sit here for a little bit. And this is what I mean, there's only one trade. There's literally only one trade in that type of environment. And so that's why gold becomes that safe haven kind of asset. Also with geopolitical risk, whatever, it's in the, what do we call it, conflict cabinet, right? You could stay if REITs do well, okay, and commodities. This is where I'm we're not seeing commodities really go up, but again, we'll see. This is a lot of tariff stuff. So that's the scare. But to me, it's this is reactionary on fear of, because we still don't have anything in, and that's my argument to moms is look, this is all scary. I don't know if maybe it might.
Wait, hold on. Can we role play? I'm your mom. Jason, put $1 million into money market funds. How would you actually respond to that?
I'm Mom, what? I just drew down. I don't want to sell yet. Can I wait for a bounce?
I don't care about the bounce. Save my money.
I'm fine, we can. And so what I did was I sold a little bit more. I sold a lot of winners, right? Apple I told you guys when I was selling Apple. I actually sold it for the Robinhood bounce. I bought Robinhood way too early, and we will look at that. I bought Robinhood way too early, and I oversized it way too heavy because I was overly convicted. And I bought the crap out of it I had 38 as my level. And with the VIX doing what it did, and this is what the, part of the issue was, VIX almost hit 30, right? And so what does that mean as a trader? Well, 2 things. One, as two examples, I had $38 as my support level on Robinhood. We got a 33. And where are we today? We're just over 38, right? We're back over 38, but now it's hovering. I had 250 as my support level on Tesla. So I don't know if you caught it, but when we lost 330, I was it's going down, right? Took 2 shots. I'm it's going to 250, but we got 210, right? And so the VIX, you'll overshoot your levels, is my point, and then we'll start to bounce a little bit and hover back around where you probably thought they would.
So you've now downsized some positions from overweight to more.
Yeah. So Hood, I was buying all of this. I was actually buying all of this, right? 47s, and then bought, and I was like, this is dumb. And then I bought at 40 again, and it flushed, and I was like, oh my God, that's stupid. I ended up buying 35, 34, 33. I'm way oversized. And then so it bounced, so I had to sell everything I added, basically. So now I'm right sized. But a 20% down day in a trust fund isn't something I can really justify to the whole family, if that makes sense.
All right, well let's get into some of these individual stocks. This was really good stuff. Can we start with Tesla and then we'll keep going?
So here's what I was going to say. If I draw this right over to the side, I think this is super important. Why does this 565 matter? I think tomorrow we'll see, but I really want to see it hold over for next week, over 565. And if that's the case, then we can get a really nice dead cat bounce. But on the way up, myself included, I will be paring off some of my exposure, if that makes sense. Just because if we do have, because again, not macro, but technically, right? Look at what happened here just before I move on. If this was that big sell-off, look at how close this got to almost like pulling all of it back, all the way there. So of that first 13% bounce, it got within 4%. 3% of all-time highs before it took another huge leg down. And why I was asking you, what about that 200-day? Because look at how choppy things get. It back over the 200-day, right? Back below, made a new low, back up over the 200-day, and the back below. So it's like one day doesn't really count in this environment, right? So it can get real choppy, but we were very similar. And I'm not a bear, right? Because this was tradable for sure. And also everything bottoms at different times. Some things bottomed really early, right? Some things didn't bottom till way low, right? And I think this was, you buy Amazon at 90, Google at 90, but they took forever to get back off their butts, right? And it wasn't until way later. Q's is worse, just as an aside, in that time frame. In this time frame, Q's went from, this was like I believe it was like a 40% drawdown.
That was 2022, right?
Yeah, 37% drawdown, right? But super similar. Q's actually never fully recovered the 200-day. But we'll see. My point is to not say that this is happening. I don't know, right? But this, first of all, this took a long time to go down. If you'd sold out right here, 330, you missed like this sell. You should have bought here anyways. Then you could have trimmed a little bit. And the name of the game is really just like to acquire more equity, right? More shares, right? Sell a little high, buy a little bit low, and trim. Yeah. So this is kind of where we are on the Qs. So Qs is very similar, but I think same thing. We can easily see a nice dead cat bounce, but on the Qs, you got to go a little bit higher. You're firmly below. You want to see this end up locking in a higher low. And then hopefully we can be in a good bounce into what's actually earnings season, mid-April, I believe. So we have tariffs. And then the whole growth scare thing is going to come into question because I think it's mid-April we start to get earnings again. And so at the same time, it might get a little choppy, but people will start looking forward to earnings reports sooner than later.
Okay, Tesla.
So I think buy this dip, but trim on the way up. That's my plan.
Yeah, and again, you're a trader. If you're an investor, then you buy the dip and just hold until it stops dipping. But
yeah,
if you're trading this, you're trying to get out once it violates some of these technical principles. Okay, Tessie. I think you're bullish, but I don't know how bullish
I
you are.
own a lot of Tesla. This one. So this was my level, right? Where I needed it to hold. This is about 330, 326. And when it lost this, I knew, all right, this is going to be ugly. I had 250 from right here. It got right back up to 250, but it didn't like get back over. Where what I can see right now is there's a little So from the last earnings, we had that breakout earnings.
Last
was
one,
right here.
last quarter.
Yeah. So we've almost filled that. This is October. So we've almost filled that. Well, actually, sorry, we did fill that 215, right? As long as Tesla holds over, and here's where I'm at. Like on Tesla specific, it's like, okay, I know that technically, as long as Tesla holds 215, it's okay, right? But if it loses 215, first of all, it's not going to be 200 that's going to save it. That's not a thing. It's I have to think about, well, how much is it? It's like 170s. I guess another 20%. 180, 175, 180 is what it would be. But I need this to hold literally like right here. So I don't hate it right here. I actually bought a little bit more, a little bit higher. I thought about buying some more today because I think this is one where like I can just accumulate. I don't hate this, but I know the risk right now. If it loses 215, it might not be pretty for a little bit, but
Are you at all concerned about brand damage, Q1 auto sales, any of that stuff?
well, I don't think Q1 auto sales are going to be anything really. It is brand image, not so much as it's more like Elon. Would you just freaking tweet about Tesla? like give me a couple Tesla tweets and that's it, right? Because I think that's the concern. The concern is like, hey, how much time or attention are you actually spending here? Because everything you see him tweet is about either Doge or SpaceX, which really don't affect Tesla. But yeah, so to me, I'll look at this like I sold some and I just bought some back. I'm probably not going to sell, even if this loses this, to be quite honest with you. I'll probably wait till I see like 175s and buy a little bit more.
So you'd rather bag hold a little bit in DCA versus get out of the name completely because you think the name is that
here
Yeah.
now for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Like, I don't think this is going 100. And if I am, well, I should probably lose a bunch of money because I'm dead wrong. But if it is, but
Dude, if it goes back to 100, that's a pretty aggressive down.
it's stupid, right? So what's true is like this, my voice is cracking. This run up, run down, it's rough. This is gonna take a while. So I think that this could have a violent bounce, and a dead cat bounce on Tesla, just so you know, is actually all the way back up to where I sold it to. And that's why I would be okay. That's like 325, 330. That's a regular dead cat bounce on Tesla. That's a big bounce. So I might even trade for that. That's a 40% equity bounce if this level holds.
But that can't happen unless the S&P has a serious move as well, right? Like, do you think that could happen independent of the macro?
I think it could. Tesla does not trade with the S&P. It does not marry up in terms of price. It's almost like opposite the S&P. Most times you'll see like Mag 7 going up and Tesla going down, and Tesla going up and Mag 7 going down. It's kind of opposite. But this is typical. But at that point, when I do see that, I have to trim again, because right there, that's about that 50% retracement from that high to low. And we do have some locked liquidity. But for right now, this purple line, which again, we don't really see a whole lot, that's the 200-week simple moving average. That's about 250. Tesla really needs to comfortably hold over 250. I call it 260. If you're over 260, then I would say that bounce into the 325, 330s is very probable. And on the right-hand side of my screen, this is that volume profile. And if we're just trading peak to peak, this is a big valley. That's where those valleys, like mountain peak, like valley, whatever. This is where price will accelerate in terms of speed of momentum. So all of this, I think, would get filled pretty quickly. But again, you got to get over really it's like this 260-ish level and hold. And then we're probably going to see a quick jump. And it's Tesla. It's like 1 or 2 tweets from Elon. That's all you need. And that could fill very quickly. The problem about going out on Tesla here now, and I looked at this and I was like, maybe I want to buy some leaps or something like that. No, right? These options are insanely expensive still. It needs to go sideways for a while, like a 100% upside, 50% downside move within a couple months is just, they're completely overpriced. So, and I'm not in the mindset to want to sell puts on Tesla because again, it could take a 20% nosedive, and I can still be in the same thing. So, I won't sell puts on Tesla until I see it maybe either down there or it goes sideways for another week. But in the meantime, if it just chops, I think you kind of leave it alone. I mean, right here, right now, I will say that the market is primed for some income generation strategies. Not necessarily one-sided, but if you can sell both calls and puts really far away on certain things, like I think that specifically SPY, I would only do it on indexes. But yeah, I have an opportunity here now to start running some income generating strategies, which I haven't had in a long time in the more recent market environments.
Yeah, because essentially when we have a flattish market, that's when covered calls actually do well.
Well, yeah, just as an example, like on SPY, I was able to do, we might be able to go over stuff like this in, I don't know.
We're doing, you're free Saturday, right? We can do it Saturday? 201?
I'm moving.
See, guys, it's not me. It's not me. It's him. I'm available this Saturday. It's him.
Why don't you tell them when you asked me?
Today, right now.
Just now.
But I thought we said last week we'd be good. But all right, it might be
maybe.
a week now.
Let me, I don't know. We'll see. But
wait,
so like,
you're
see this white box? See this white box? I can create an options income strategy on SPY right now that literally pays me as long as SPY trades in this massive box. And every week I'm going to plan on doing another one. Like, and I'll just follow price, right? And it's just going to like that. And I'll end up running a bunch of these over and over. But this type of range, had you just done this like weekly on SPY, right? Like, look, you're going to get paid all the time.
Yeah. No.
But to be able to get a range like this, imagine if this is the box that you can get paid in, you just kind of follow it week to week. Right here, right now, it's juicy. So that's one thing I'm doing.
Okay, can we do NVIDIA? What's going on there?
What is the strategy?
It's just, you're talking about covered calls, essentially, selling covered calls.
No.
Oh, you're talking about something else.
Yeah, I don't do covered calls usually, unless it's a stock repair, which NVIDIA might be one for you here if you want to do.
Yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, what are you seeing technically first with NVIDIA?
So NVIDIA, I bought it like under 110, just a little bit added. And I actually trimmed before today, just like SMCI. It's like this market, if you don't know, guys, is a sell the news before the news happens kind of market, right? Like you get the move. It was okay move. I think I sold it here at 120. I didn't get the top, but whatever. So I think here you have to look for a higher low to kind of set in somewhere around 112s, maybe. I think if you see NVIDIA under 110, it's a buy. In my group, it's below 110 to like, I hate to say this, like it was to like 75. At this point, I think you don't want it anymore unless it's holding here. So I think that this is an order block, and this is one. We're going to take if this is the last low, if this is to be the low on NVIDIA, you have to take two things. So one, the low before the very last low. I don't want it to be down here, but that's 107. It could be any one of these. little areas. I think this is your strongest one. That's like 112.87. That's an area of interest. So in this market, it's not a bull market here. You have to be aware this is not the same market that we had a couple months ago. It's not. You know, what did you think about the presentation, by the way? The keynote. The keynote.
Jensen's keynote?
Yeah.
No, it was good. The stock didn't react to it, but it was great. I mean,
Biggest takeaway.
That you need 100x more computing power for these reasoning models, which means more demand.
Oh, is that when he was like, almost the entire world got it wrong?
Yeah. He was like, all you fuckers sold off our stock. And it's like, no, you should have been buying it.
My biggest takeaway, dude, not that you asked. No, I'm like,
oh no, what's your biggest takeaway?
He didn't ask, guys. Never mind. I'm sorry. It's TMI.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have my casting couch, my napping couch here to watch.
I was on that couch, by the way, a couple weeks ago. So
yeah,
it was a great nap.
So it was the robot operating system, actually. Probably not what anybody was like, but I was like, if NVIDIA makes the operating system, and then he said it was open source, so I don't really know, but like if they become the de facto operating system for humanoid robotics, they would benefit no matter who's building them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of like mechanical like builders, but if they're all running NVIDIA OS, holy shit, that's a big opportunity to me. That was my biggest takeaway. And I don't think the market saw that either, but it was the same thing as like last time. It was like, okay, we're not talking about GPUs anymore. We're talking about NVIDIA taking over the entire infrastructure stack. But this time it was like, if humanoid robotics, who's that company that you work with?
Figure, Eptronic, those are the ones I'm invested in.
Yeah. So all of them, if they're all using NVIDIA OS to run their robots, like again, catch all. But anyways.
Yeah, I think the market has fundamentally discounted everything about bots. We're seeing that in Tesla as well. So
sure. So that could be maybe I get NVIDIA at $20 again. Who knows, right? But but anyways, so this is where you want it to hold first. So we're gonna call this a price of interest. It's just under 113, just under 113. That's like, so what this should look like, what you want this to look like is basically like tomorrow, open up red, close green, right? So if you have a big red day tomorrow, or whatever this week, you want that to be a higher low somewhere in here. So 112.87 down to 108.85, which is this one. So it's going to be this box right here. You really need that to hold, right? If VIX is high, maybe that wicks you down to 107-ish, 107.50. But if it doesn't hold this, so here's what's true. If NVIDIA does not hold 107.50, it's going to go further down. And I don't think 100 is going to hold it. So that's kind of like your line in sand. You want this to kind of shake out just like that. Maybe have a scary open and then have some long step in towards the close or at some point during the day. And if that happens, then your pattern people are going to come out again and be like, oh, it's a big old inverted head and shoulders, cup handle, whatever you want to call it, right? And then the whole market's going to be on your side. So to that end, you can see a little bit further down, but not much. So like maybe that's where is it right now? $5 to $7, but it's got to hold. If it doesn't hold that, it's going to go lower. And you don't want to be buying at 100 if it goes lower. You want to wait till you see the whites of their eyes, so to speak.
Okay, so last question on NVIDIA. I don't want this to take too much time, but just your general kind of perspective on this. How would, if someone wanted to sell covered calls on NVIDIA, let's say they bought 1,000 shares at 115, how would they figure out ranges to sell those 10 covered calls?
So for example, your near-term target on NVIDIA is what, 150?
Near-term meaning end of year?
No, July. Because if we get a dead cat bounce, it's going to take you into the first 2 weeks of July, then you got to chill, right? Because then it's going to go
150. That's all-time highs, right?
So I'd look at July
Oh, you would sell the covered calls out
Will you?
at par?
Well, yeah, because here's the next question: do you want to sell it?
No.
Okay, so so I'd look at maybe once I'm modeling right now. 400.
Yeah, we'll go over Jason's indicators as well in a second.
My what?
Your indicators.
So it might be weird. Oh, did I not do this? Right. We'd go to April. I think it's past April. So May.
May 16th.
May is 60 days. So you want to hit that 45-day, give or take, like special sauce.
Okay. That's 2 months out.
This is a stock repair.
You would sell the 150? 2 months out?
No, so a stock repair is to buy a call debit spread and sell an extra covered call and get it for free. So for example,
but I'm not even, no, nothing that crazy. Just a covered call. That's all I'm asking. Like the most simplest income generation strategy. I'm confused why you're going 2 months out. Why wouldn't you go like a month out or a couple weeks out?
Because if you don't want to be in it, so like you asked me about would I sell $40 covered calls on Hood right now, and I kind of laughed it off, and I'm like, hell no, right?
Yeah,
because I don't want to get stuck in a Palantir covered call, $65 covered call with it traded at 20 if this is the dip to buy, right?
Right.
And you're all the way back there. So the reason, so I would actually probably look for a little bit more juice. I would probably do this on a Thursday. When the new options expiration come out, I'd probably go down. I'd probably go up to May. I see what they're already doing it. 25th.
I would do 145. I feel like that's not crazy.
So I'm looking at a 140.
Okay, that's fine. No. That would bring in about $2,000 if you have 1,000 shares. It's not
yeah. But so you want to go as far out to the end of the weekly series. So weekly options come out every Thursday. 45 days to expiration is about your secret sauce, if you will, if you want to do a passive cover calls. Otherwise, if you want to do it like on a weekly basis, it's work to do it that way. But there is the possibility of doing a stock repair, which you could do for free also. Which means that as it goes up, you get double the profit, but you still have covered calls.
Okay, so final takeaway on NVIDIA, you think it needs to defend 110, essentially?
Yeah, essentially. Like it could go below 110, but not much for not for long. So this has to be a higher low. It's about 107, right? Like 107.50, give or take. It has to hold, because if that doesn't hold, it's not just not going up. It is going to go down, and you're going to break 100, and you're probably going to break 90 and get into, you might see 89s. If volatility is high, you might see 85s.
Yeah.
And then bear market would be 50s. Legit.
No,
but you have to understand, like, that's just technically speaking, that's what the risk is. The trajectory to get there is a long way away, is long, so it wouldn't be like you'd have a lot of ups and downs in between. But for here now, it's gotta hold this 107s for sure. Otherwise, because right now I'll be straight up with you, there's nothing bullish about this chart. Like, there's just not, right? The chart is bearish. It's an extremely bearish chart. So to be like, hey, it's a long. Well, the chart telling me that I'm high, thinking that, because it's since January, it's nothing but lower highs and lower lows, like in this channel. So to that end, I think what you're on NVIDIA, and I think this is really like your channel that you're trading in. if you will. So NVIDIA, this takes it from a bounce perspective for sure into the 130s, 128s. But I don't know if you remember this little moment in time. This is going to come into play. So 128s are your near term like resistance. I think you can easily see 129, maybe even 130, but do not get too excited if you see 130. That's when I would want to be on the defensive.
Okay. Can we do Palantir?
So Palantir's holding. It's on the edge also. So this is, I was looking at it, I was like, it's on the edge. So right here, this area, we'll bring this down just a little bit. 78. So as long as Palantir, so this is the same thing. Palantir must hold 78. I will tell you the setup is not great. It was good for like a bounce here, 77s, but if it can hold 78, it is great, right? And you're looking at something kind of like this, right? And then you're back up into hundreds. Very weird little drawing that just came out of that. But you're back up into the hundreds if it can hold that. Again, the realistic, not realistic, the what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not realistic, but the
Practical,
like to define your risk and understand what the risk is right now is that if it doesn't hold 78, 72 is not going to save it.
that's where it bottomed last week, 72, basically.
Right. Which means, so basically it's like this. If the higher lows don't hold, then last week's low wasn't low enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 72 is not going to save it. And it's more like it's got to go lower before it can find more buyers. It's that same whole mentality, right? If it doesn't get held up here. Right now, this is as neutral can be. Do you have 45 on your bingo card?
Steve does.
Okay. So it's going to be 2-shot approach. If it does, like, so the first shot would be into the 60s here, which would be a big bounce right back up to the scene of the crime somewhere around 70s, go sideways for a little bit, right? And then the death blow would be into the 45s, if that's the case. If not, you're perfectly fine, right? You can come down. You have to hold. You can go sideways for a little while, and then you want to. Some headlines got to come out. Then you're coming into hundreds, which is this area right here. So these guys around 100, you're going to hit resistance. I would assume that you go sideways for a little bit, come back down, and you want to see essentially this trajectory. You could get all the way back up there. But essentially something like that.
I think if we can just hold 80 for the rest of the year, I would be fine. Like, because, or even at these, I know you're looking at technicals, not fundamentals, but obviously fundamentally it is expensive here, right? So
I don't know. I mean,
no, I mean, it's trading at a 70 times price to sales. There's not many software stocks in the history of B2B SaaS have traded at these levels. And it's because there's a good moat and there's like a reason why people want to own it and retail's not selling, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know?
Retail's not selling.
So that's my point. If we can consolidate at these multiples and keep growing into the valuation over the next year as we continue to grow, I wouldn't be upset at that at all.
Yeah. I think so. Something like Palantir, I would be selling like, especially if you get back up to the hundreds, I would definitely be selling like January 2026 covered calls for 100. What is that? January 2027? $100 cover call on Palantir. So here's if I'm locked in when you remember when you sold that Reddit covered call, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, you just married up because you went like way far away. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. If I were to sell, if I have 100 shares of Palantir and I sold a January 2027 $100 covered call, I'm going to collect nearly $27 right now. Right now. You're telling me the best case scenario is that this stock goes sideways for the rest of the year. That would give me $27 more or less of downside protection. If I'm saying that the next stop, if 72 doesn't hold, the next stop is more in the 60s, well, how much is that? $26 of downside protection.
Yeah.
So in that instance, that call will help me a little bit versus doing it weekly, if that makes sense.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And so that would be my logic as an actual shareholder. Maybe not January 2027, maybe 2026 is, if I'm really not trying to sell it, right? And let's say I'm someone, even in this case, if I'm someone that owns like these January 2027 long $100 calls, I would take this opportunity to maybe sell those January 2026 $100 calls against yours and turn that into a poor man's cover call and create some income.
Right.
This is that type of environment. So hopefully that helps for any like real like investors out there. I think that's ideal. If you can wait till the stock is actually, if it does actually get to $100 and then you pull that trigger, you're probably looking at double the premiums in that instance, which is really when I would seriously think about it.
Okay, can we do hoodie, which is now in the election or not election, event contracts?
Dude, that's huge. I sent it to my buddy. I'm like, my only problem is like I really want to buy more. But
hold on, did you see this today? Did you see you can bet on JPL today? It's not just basketball anymore; it's everything.
Wait, how do you? I might not be able to do that because I live in California.
No, this is no, it's none of it's illegal because it's an event contract. So technically all of it's legal. It's not really
let me see if I have to update. Yeah, I have to update the app. But that's bad. That's sweet, dude. I mean, first of all, this is why I love Robinhood, right? Like so many levers they can still pull. That's like a whole nother industry that just entered, right? It's cool. It looks good. But when we hit 42, 43, I'm like, that was not a good place to stop, quite frankly, because we hit a lot of overhead resistance, which is what just happened. So it's like this. It's like whenever you see something, you're like, oh, this looks so good. And you got to like, those are the days that maybe you're like, maybe not so much. Who knows? And you can see what happened, right? So this is where we are. 43s are basically overhead resistance right now. The good news is that we are in this very near term situation in a what's the word? A counter trend move. So in this little box, we do have higher highs and higher lows. That's factual, right? From this perspective, we're not there yet. So what do I need to do? I need to take from these absolute highs to these absolute lows. I think that we could get, it's very possible that we see the 50s again, 50s, but that you got to be really careful because you're going to run into a lot of overhead resistance, right? Because all these guys, the 50s, I wanted $50 support for 2025. I had it for like a minute. It was great.
You had it for a couple weeks. You were.
It was great. I was loving it. But there are people today that are stuck. And I don't know what they're going to do when we get back in here. If we get back in here. Does it make sense? So if we continue along this trajectory, there's going to be a point in time where we start banging our head up along this. And that's possible.
Yeah.
So, while it might look great, just be aware, cautionary, that could happen. But as long as it's in this current channel, I'm okay.
I think unless the S&P 500 doesn't get to those numbers you were talking about around 58, 59 and holds, I don't know if Hood can break out to 60 and 70 again, because it is a proxy on people trading at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're right? So just because you have a great company doesn't mean the stock market's going to save it. It's not, right? Like you got to be truthful about that. So, boy, did I look out of my cash secured puts though. I'll tell you what, dude. I sold a bunch of like 35 puts and 38.
Expiring when?
Well, those already expired. And then, but I closed them like day one, and then I still have some $38 cash secured puts for April, which I sold for like $5 on average. I just
$5. Holy crap.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, I was like, this whole thing, I was like, this is stupid. This is stupid. I'm buying it. But then it kept getting stupider and stupider and stupider throughout the day. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And by the end of the day, I was pouring sweat, dude. I was like, this is crazy.
That's how wild this market is, bro. Because obviously we all know valuation is like ridiculous at 38, but it could get really stupid over the next couple months.
And that's the thing. The market can stay irrational much longer than I can stay liquid, right? And that's part of the truth, right? So just having been around for long enough, you'll see it more times than you can count. It's not the norm, but when it happens, and you're like,
yeah. So for Hood, a key level we need to hold is what, 35?
No, I think you still come into this area. I think actually like where we're holding, I'd say 37s. So you have to look at this cohort, right? So over here, all these guys that were buying, where did they buy? It's a kind of a big block, right? So like what's cool is that we have this $34 shelf, right? I say shelf, like that was the last low right here where they bought. And these are two very important spots. And thank God they came in. They must have snuck in after ours, because this bad boy closed at the absolute lows. And I swear to God, in the 24-hour market, it was even lower. But anyways, it's I think 36. So it's 36 to me. And kind of like right in here. I'll just take this down. The only problem I have is with making like a straight line, which I normally would, is that if the VIX really cracks again to the upside, like we were talking about earlier, it's like the VIX things can overshoot very quickly. Amit needs to, do you need a new battery? Do you want me to buy you one of those dummy batteries?
No, it's not a dummy battery. Dude, I'm not sick, but my nose is still a little, so I have to like just.
Oh, you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So I think it's the 30. Ideally 38s, but I can see 36 and a half.
Yo, do you see below 30? Because I feel like they're just gonna flush it out and get it over with, and maybe then we can move on.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't hate, to be honest. I wouldn't hate it. Like
this is why I had to like quickly de-risk once we got that first bounce. It's
yeah, you think it's going below 30, bro? I can tell. You think it could get there.
It's 23s, 22, 23s is what it is.
I wouldn't hate that though. I really like it would suck, but
you know what I would hate? I would hate being over leveraged long here.
Yes.
To see it get to 23, sit in another 50% drawdown and have no ammo to buy it when it gets there. That's what I would hate. Right. And so that is what it is. And that's why I'm like, I just can't be over leveraged right here.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. We got their gold event next week, and so we're going to see some new stuff. I
hate that you made me say that out loud too.
No, but it's fair, dude. I've been feeling it as well. If markets are shitty, it could go below 30 very easily. I mean,
yeah. So I think that there's a look, as long as we're over 36s, I think it's more probable that we see 49 50s first. But then if we see that and then we reject really hard, well, I don't know, right?
Can you explain what you mean by over leveraged?
If I don't have any cash to buy the dip.
Yeah.
If I don't have any cash to buy the dip, it's not like I can be like, I mean, you think about what is my job? Like I do run a community, but that's the community's money. It's not my money. My money comes from trading. I don't have like a W-2 job that I can just be like, hey, let me deposit some money.
Yeah. Okay. Can we do? We'll do the Qs in a bit. Can we do Rocket Lab?
Sure. So I think Rocket Lab, we had 2150, right? These charts here now, dude, I'll just tell you, these are the type of setups that can change like boom in a day.
It's been holding 15 to 19 for the past 2 weeks, basically after earnings. Like it hasn't gone lower.
I don't love this hold. So here's that last breakout earnings. And so the bottom of that was here, 1865. And then we'll call this box that breakout earnings digestion zone. So the only reason why I don't love this here is because of that. The low end comes in here, 1680. Oops.
Real quick, I do think we have a headline. Is this correct? Let me just confirm. Yeah, Tesla just got robotaxi approval in California.
So I should have swung Tesla long.
It's up a little bit after hours.
By the way, do you remember when the last time we did Rocket Lab, we said if this fails, it's going to 16s. And it went there like that day. That was the level. And then if it got back to 21 and a quarter, which was that prior all-time high, 21.23, it made full circle in a single session on this earnings day. That was wild, man. So down to 16, 21.34. See this day post earnings? What it ran into is this prior all-time high. It needs to get over that. Until then, I think this is your local, like you can trade her off of that $16, $17 area, but it's not over 21.34. 21.34 was that prior all-time high. Yeah, so you are trading off this. It's this candle basically. 16, 17. But you have to get over like this box, which is a ways up. But I think if you're in Rocket Lab, you're not really in it for the near term. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, like you're in it because you believe it's literally going to the moon, right?
Yeah.
So
I think if this gets absolutely wrecked, it's 750.
Oh goodness, bro. You have not been nice today. Not at all.
But it's to get there, it's got to make a stop at 1150 first. And then consolidate. But you don't want it much further below 16. Hey man, I'm just reporting. Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Matt Money in the chat says I bought Rocket Lab for price appreciation over the next 2 hours. So
stop it. Like, hey, look, if you lock in 16, like high 16s holds, and then you see the next day going up, I think that if you want to do it for the next 2 hours, you can get a nice 30% pop on the stock within 24 hours. I would normally say 36 hours, but 24 hours is about this market right now. I could not believe, I'm telling you, I could not believe 16 to 21. It was like within how many hours was that? It was a 32% rally from the absolute lows to the highs of the very following day post earnings.
Yeah.
That
Oh
was
yeah, that was on
insane.
earnings, right? Yeah, that was a day
Yeah,
after earnings.
that was
right?
insane because I was watching it and I was like, oh shit, there's a 16. And then I was like, I'll come back to it in a little bit. And the next thing I knew, it was like $20. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, this one's, I mean, I guess we'll see.
Peace. I can believe this. Why? It sounds like somebody was short Tesla. I'm not short Tesla. I like Tesla.
Dude, Jason texted me the other day. He is short this entire market. He told me not to tell you guys.
You want to know what I'm short?
He has puts across the entire. Oh, well, I was going to ask you to do this. So SMCI, let's do it.
Oh, I'm short right now.
Well, the short's working. It's down 10% today.
Yeah, well, I was short yesterday too, and it wasn't working. It's just
why are you short SMCI?
Also, what's true? Just so this top, this is like, so this this last move into their earnings, it was the definition of a dead cat bounce, literally the definition. And that, but by the way, I mean, great trade if you took it, really shit hold if you held it. I have no sympathy for you after being up 145% on this type of a move and not taking any trims, but you're not over this, right? Like you're still into right into that breakdown area. So this is same again, where it was breaking down before. This was it. And I actually said, look, it could get up to like 47, it'd be fine. But I'm not going to be short this for much longer, quite frankly. But it's just a basic retest of this breakdown, lock in another lower high. And for anybody that was still holding on, for a near-term trade, they're probably exiting stage left anyways in this area when you're seeing this 45. So I actually took it at like 39 a few days ago, this day. So not yesterday, not the day before that, the day before that. So I've been in a drawdown, green today, but it's just one day.
And how long is the expiration on these puts?
April.
Okay.
They're April 35s. So I don't need a lot more. And I'm looking for 30. That's it. So
okay.
So it's right into here, which would then lock in your higher low, and I think you can kind of go sideways. So if you go like this, cool. And then the bears can have fun, or the bulls can have fun again. But honestly, I think this goes sideways to neutral from here. I don't think it's going to be a full-blown breakdown, but I didn't think that Jensen was going to have any kind of honorable mentions for SMCI. I'm not an SMCI lover by any means.
Bro, he didn't say a single word.
Why would he, dude?
Because
nothing, because you're all wrong.
No, but like that, they're the top 3 suppliers for GPUs.
You're all been wrong since day one.
What do you mean we? I'm not even in this name. What are you talking about? I did trade it though. I made $3,000. So
yeah. No, I traded it with you actually.
Oh yeah, you did. You did trade it.
But no, I've never been an SMCI lover. You did see who did get mentioned though.
Dell.
And that's why like that's just my personal experience. It's just a personal thing. Like I have a personal vendetta maybe because I worked with them and it was like a shit show working with them. And I actually do. I don't discount the accounting errors like everybody else does, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, can we do SOFI?
Oh, we're gonna talk about Dell for a second. But did you see that slide that Jensen pulled up? That's why I like Dell, because it's like they're full stack, like everything. Anyways,
yeah. And he explicitly mentioned them too. So he
was joking because they're actual buddies. They're not like fake buddies like this other guy. They're not friends, guys. I don't know where the hell that came from. So SOFI, I think this is like, when you have like this egregious downside, like I did buy SOFI. Then I didn't sell any. So if I don't have like a massive position on SOFI. I think the whole market is here. Like, I think I've been saying this though, so it could bounce a little bit more, but Things like this, you have to be cautious. I just looking at this chart right now, this is your trend, right? Like the problem here is that this turns into a bit of a bear flag, if you will. Like bear flag, if I flip this chart upside down, then this looks super bullish, right?
Yeah.
Like your flagpole, it looks super bullish. But the problem is that that's an upside down chart, and the real chart is like this. So far, the 200-day did hold. That's around 11. I could see it getting retested, or even like a higher low for another bounce. But this is like you're in this area. So honestly, as long as it's holding 11, well, it's about 1150. 1130 to 1150. I would actually be more inclined to take this for a bounce, even though that's not what your typical technicians would do. I'm more counterintuitive sometimes when it comes to this. This could see like 13, 14s, but you gotta be really cautious if you do, right? Because again, my messaging for the last month or so, month maybe, has been like, you need to take the market one day at a time, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, because it's so hard to say like, is this like going all the way up? Because every bounce could get sold into, which is what's been happening. I just think that as of right now, enough was enough, I believe. And that last low was pretty brutal. And even it's almost like even if we do breach the lows just a little bit. So one thing I bought today was Amazon, which did breach that low. I bought Amazon.
Can we transition to Amazon? Let's do that because a lot of people.
Yeah. So I literally bought Amazon today at the lows. Mostly only because I had this level. I was short Amazon. I remember, I don't know if you remember, I had a 205 to 190 put debit spread on Amazon up here. Right, like when it had lost this area. So this is when I was short Amazon up here. That was like I didn't have a whole lot left on it anyway, so it was just take it. It was just like little bits of runners. But this 188 level, and I might have talked about this last time. 188 is a retest of this 2022 double top, and so I'm like, okay, this is a big. I know this is a big area. Does it have to stop right here, right now? No. And again, if the VIX is gonna spike on me, can I see like can I see like 170s and really like this entire area get retested? Totally, right? But am I thinking right now that it's gonna be a Tesla where I have like a retest of the prior highs just get completely violated? I'm not thinking that right now, because they're not running Doge. I don't know. But if it does, like below 190 down to potentially 160 is where I want to be a buyer for the intermediate term, if that makes sense. So today was the only day I actually picked up Amazon. And I closed my shorts. I thought it was damn close to that 188. It ended up being 189, so like close enough for government work. Does this mean that this is the lows? No, not necessarily. This red line is a 200-day simple moving average, so maybe I'm early. Who knows? But it wasn't like a big buy. But like I said, in this area down to the 170s, I'll be a buyer.
Yeah, because you also fundamentally like Amazon a lot, right?
If this year is not a bear market, which I'm not really sold on the idea that this year is a bear market.
Yeah.
You can easily sell me on next year being a bear market, but not so much this year, if that makes sense. And if that's the case, I do want to be long Amazon this year. So I still like it. And I think last time I was on, I said I liked it. I would like it better, like around 188. And I got pretty damn close to it today. So I took a little shot.
Here's a good question. Tariffs bearish Amazon. Do you factor that in at all? Like actually bearish Amazon, because a lot of their shit's from China. I would say a majority of the shit they sell on Amazon is from China. So either they pass the cost on the consumer, or
Well, so it's you're talking about revenues, and so like, me, because I am the guy that argued for Apple to be a good company, and as much, and Amit just argued against me, and that argument was largely based on profit, not necessarily revenue, if that makes sense. So like, as long as they're not, because they're going to pass that over to the consumer. It's the only thing I'm looking at right now. This is the economic calendar. There's just this here. So import exports, we never really look at. This is the number that you would want to start watching slightly. Import prices year over year, month over month. So import prices year over year, we've always been a net importer anyways as a country, like for the last 30 years. But this is your tariff inflation. I don't know. Are you having them watch this at all, Amit? He's left again.
I actually, this is, I'm happy you're bringing this up. I don't look at this metric as much as I should.
It's not something you would normally look at all.
No.
But so this is import prices. This is where your tariff inflation would show up. And so you're seeing a little bit of it, but it's not a whole lot. But now this is maybe something that you could start to look at. But again, you're going to need to see months and months of data. This comes out weekly. So yeah, I think you could start to watch this. Maybe the talking heads catch on to that as something to watch. But this is now something where I would potentially put on your radar as a watch. We did get my other. I've been waiting for what is it? There were two words: tariffs and deportations, that I was waiting for the two things that could shit the fan, like shit the bed for the Trump talk. And I got my deportation headline the other day, so we'll see.
Okay, before we do the next one, which is going to be Google, let's read a couple super chats real quick. First of all, from Savage2. Thank you for the $20. For real. Paper Gains is one of the most phenomenal services in the game. I don't know how I went so long trading without him in the team. I love it.
Oh yeah, Savage is on the crew now. Welcome, man.
Thank you for that super chat, Savage. We also have Derek in the chat. 1 share of Hood.
There we go.
At 4016. So
beautiful.
I will be buying that courtesy of Derek. Thank you for being here. Also, for those that are not
following, like my favorite stock, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
For those that are not following Jason right here, please make sure to follow him. He does this for free every Tuesday for 3 to 4 hours for us, and we really, really appreciate it. So,
dude, how can we follow these people with pot PFPs? Follow
pot PFPs.
All I see is that weeds.
It's because you're always high. That's why.
It's Midwest. That's who it is.
It's Midwest. It's always Midwest. I don't even know if he's in the chat, but yeah, it's always him.
Thank you, Derek, for the kind words. Very cool, man.
Okay, Google.
So listen, dude. I've never been a Google fan, and you know it, right? But like, of all,
you're racist against brown people. That's
dude. First of all, never mind.
You don't like Sundar, bro. I legit think you're discriminatory towards him.
I was watching your stream earlier today, and I was like, Apu and Fred.
They called me and Tanner Apu and Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders. Oh my God, that was great.
It was.
You just got to you have to take your glasses off. That's all, and then you're good, right?
It was great. It was great. Okay, so
you got him. I love Tanner too, by the way.
I like Google below 160. I think that
this is another stupid move. I gotta say,
you're referring to them buying the startup today. It's stupid.
Well, yeah, that too. But I think that so when I look across the board at like what's done what, this is probably one of the most egregious in my mind. I feel like this is not right. I think that this is getting punished too much. and again, not as a Google bull, because I am not one. I just don't know why this should be 150 at the moment.
I agree.
So today's price action on Google, I opted for Amazon because would you rather, right? I would rather Amazon. This is
An overreaction.
no, this should raise an eyebrow. So whenever you see price action like this, where it's just like aggressive shenanigans, okay, Google pulled another Google, did something really stupid. And
Before we keep going, do you think buying Wiz for 32 billion was stupid, like completely?
I'm sure that for $32 billion, I don't even know who this company is. I could think of a million other. Why didn't they buy SentinelOne?
I mean, it's a cloud security name that's growing triple digits.
It's not a household cloud security. It's a
not
no
household.
name.
I agree. It's
It's
not
a
household.
no name cloud security name.
They have
Anybody in the enterprise work with Wiz in the chat? So I've been out of the game for a while. I don't know.
I mean, here's the question. Would you have rather them spend 32 billion on buybacks or buying a startup to enhance their GCP offering? That's my question.
So Walter, he's in enterprise. He does not, does not work with Wiz. No. Right. So like, I don't think that Wiz is a name that I've never heard
dude,
of it.
if they bought a big name, they would have to pay like 50, 60 billion. Like obviously they're not going to.
I would rather that.
I would not rather them spend 50 billion versus
Okay,
30 for the
this
same,
is
for
like-
relatively the same thing.
No, I don't know that the technology is worth it, right?
They have, dude, they're growing.
Derek uses Wiz. Okay, I mean,
500 million in ARR. I don't think it was a horrible. They bought them for 25 times earnings.
IT orchestration. Okay, so it's like SolarWinds kind of thing, or
I don't know what it is. All I know is they're doing $500 million of revenue per year, which Google gets to add.
CCI here. Last 4 firms I've worked for have used Zscaler. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but Google's not buying Zscaler, right?
No,
they're not paying that much. So that's my.
And so Carl's got a point. GCP is growing, and they're trying to bundle. I agree, right? So like, I think that's the idea. So, but like, I don't know enough about Wiz to say it's a weird name to say that it was worth it. I don't know enough about their IP, what makes them special. So I'm ignorant in this one. How's that? I will claim full-blown ignorance because I don't know what makes them special enough to justify that price. And I don't think the market does either. That's why the market had a hard time digesting it initially. But the price action today is like, okay, this should raise an eyebrow. Egregious press to the downside, big bounce right into the close. That's not really bearish. So I think this gets a bounce. If I saw 150, it would be similar to, so 150.97 is similar to Amazon's 188. So that's that prior 2022 all-time high. And I think if you don't see like a theme here of like where I'm going with these technicals, like if we get these 2022 all-time high tests, I think they were like good support previously. This is strong support in general across the board. Can they go deeper if the VIX is trading really high again? You see a 30 handle on the VIX. Yeah, they can breach, right? It could be like a Robinhood, which is a stupid 20% down day, which had no business being down 20% to me. But the day just kept getting dumber and dumber as it went. I was just in disbelief. And yeah. So that can happen.
Google is trading for fiscal year 2026.
Don't give me valuation stuff.
Why?
Because Google is always cheap and the cheap get cheaper.
It's trading at 14 times. Are we saying this is not something to look at?
I'm saying that PE ratios are probably the worst indicator that you could use. enter
Okay.
Palantir.
I get it, but at some point,
I mean, it either is or it isn't.
I don't think we ignore. I think we analyze why sentiment is bad on Google, but we don't ignore how bad.
Well, sentiment is bad in general, right? Like, did you show them this? So last week's sentiment numbers on Friday.
Yeah. We saw that.
Well, you compared it.
It was a consumer confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, but so this is the lowest it's been since the 2022 bear market lows. So 2022 bear market lows it was a 50. Like we came in, where'd it go? At a 57.9. That June 2022 50 consumer sentiment, by the way, was not the low of the market, but it's where things started to like not get as bad.
So you're skeptical then on the chart because of these dramatic downside moves on these announcements, essentially.
Well, no, I don't think Google should be down this much. I'm giving you that, right? But it's not enough. But I'm arguing your argument of PE being a reason to buy the stock. I think you of all people should not be arguing that.
No, but there's a distinction for Palantir and CrowdStrike, which are early growth stage companies. You don't look at PE, price of sales, not as much. But for cash flowing businesses that are buying back $70 billion worth of stock, and you look at the multiple you're paying,
yeah, but
if it gets stupid, it gets stupid.
Apple. Yeah, but what about Apple? Like it was not.
I've been right about Apple. Apple's PE at 250 was stupid. Now it's at 200. Like, what do you mean?
Okay. But I mean, like it still went up when it was that price. Like it was going up. Like
yeah, but the point is it wasn't able to sustain it, which is what we're seeing, right?
Right. So I'm agreeing with you that this is probably a decent spot to start adding into. I don't know if you saw. Did he say anything when NVIDIA pulls up the person using the Apple Vision Pro on the GTC keynote? Because it was in there.
See, I was not paying enough attention.
No, you saw it and you actively ignored it is what happened.
Oh, dude, I was literally on my phone. Most of the presentation, dude, I was kind of bored. I'm not going to lie.
So I think Google is intriguing here. It's not enough for me to buy it just because it was Amazon or Google. But if I see 150, I'm going to have to, like, it's the freaking market is going to force me to buy this. Because again, April 29th, you're going to have earnings. So like all of the shenanigans is going to happen. We might have some crazy like tariff nonsense, and we're going to get through that. And then all of a sudden earnings are going to come around. They're still going to be like, oh, we have this growth scare, but you're down freaking 30% from the highs, like, or 25% from the highs. Like, well, did we really think the growth is going to slow down that much? Like, boom, tomorrow? No,
right.
It's going to take some time. So I think it's all a buy. But I don't know that it goes, like if it's going to go to the moon. I don't know.
Okay. That is fair. Can we do Meta? And then we'll get into some other names.
Oh, dude. Meta's getting like shellacked right now. I like Meta here now. But I think 550 or like 500s. I like Meta here now, but it's not cooperating.
By the way, put in the chat if you've been buying Meta at all at these levels. Have you, Jason?
I haven't bought Meta yet. Not.
But you kind of want to, right? Like under 600, you kind of want to.
No, well, so again, this is one where I took some profits. I trimmed her somewhere around like when we were losing 620s, 630s. Yeah. So when this all around the same time.
This thing was 740 3 weeks ago.
I'll tell you what else I trimmed was Netflix. I know. So the last time I bought Meta, it was 550s. And the chart says you might get that shot again, but this is really close here. If we start to turn around, these are going to be the local lows for the big nasty dead cat bounce that I hope we have. If it gets worse, it's 530s. But all of this stuff had to get exited.
You think below 500 is it possible in a real flush out?
Oh, on a real flush out? Absolutely.
Dude, if Meta went back to like
on a real flush
410, 420, oh my gosh.
It's 300, dude. What are you talking about?
Dude, those are 2023
around in 2022. I don't remember.
What do you say?
Were you around in 2022 actively trading?
No, I wasn't. I was not. I was actively bag holding in 2020.
I was actively trading. So it would be sub threes. That's what it would be.
Were you able to still make like decent profits in 2022?
Hell yeah.
By shorting everything?
No, because like go back to so this is 2022 bear market. We went from this is 2022, right? Yeah. 2021, 378. Look at what happened to this bad boy. $87.
Yeah.
So
I was on the earnings, by the way, when they went. I was live streaming when they went to 87. So I remember that day.
Well, this was the metaverse, right? Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing? Right. And I think, but that was probably the biggest whoopsies that we'll see in a long time. Zuck is way more he understands what happened. So I don't think that these guys are going to make the same mistake on that kind of stuff. So I'm saying I don't think it's anything like that.
Okay, so right now, what level do you get excited to buy Meta at? Where it's like Google at 150 type of stupid.
I mean, so if we do the same exercise, it would be 380s of that.
Yeah, you would buy before 380, right? You would buy in 450s, 480s. I feel like you would take a stab at it.
It depends on what's going on in the market. And I hate to say that, but like, I think that you take your shots in general. It's advertising. So like, who advertises in the chat?
Have you ran Facebook ads before? Because I have.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible product, but
I will not be.
Yeah, Steve's argument is, well, more people will advertise in a recession on Meta versus other stuff. And I'm like, no, I still think so. I think budgets will cut back.
Yeah. Dieter saying I work in ads.
Thomas for my brewery.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you would get more people trying to do organic growth stuff and maybe, but not necessarily paying for the ads. Like, have you ever tried to advertise on Twitter? Like, it's bad. So I don't know. I think this is the question, right? Like, do advertising budgets get cut?
Yeah, but see, if we have a like full-on recession, yeah. If it's a growth scare, as you're saying, we shouldn't see budgets like meaningfully get cut.
Yeah. So the thing about Meta is like, of all of them, I think it's going to be your best value to growth like ratio. But it's not at a discounted level like the others. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's still up. Just albeit slightly 200. I mean, I think if you really don't believe in this growth, then you kind of need to be a buyer, but it's 500 is where I'll be like, okay, sub 500. So remember the last time I bought this was on this broadening formation. And when it reclaimed, that still stays in play. And the downside of that would be just into that $500 level, which is going to retest all of this.
Okay.
So Meta's lower on the shopping list, if you will, just because it's kind of like what's discounted. I mean, there are a lot of good companies at decent discounts. I almost even like, I'm looking at my stupid Apple, like, dude, but I think Apple's just under 200. So like if I see this kind of like 195 on Apple, I'll buy some back. I'll start buying back on Apple, but I don't know. I don't know that 200 saves it. And I think I said this before, but you know, and I as much as I like Apple company, I know definitively it is the last general to fall in this, you know, order of operations. So it'll hold up the best. Right now, Meta is holding up, but if I see Apple breaching 200s, I'm gonna start nibbling. And I think that the rest of the market probably might bottom at the same time, if that's the case, which means that right here now, I think is again still fine. And even if we have one little push more to the downside, I even think that's a buy before we get a bear market rally, a counter trend.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because I just don't see, and I don't think I've seen a market go in a straight line downside without like a substantial bounce. Even this 2022's, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, this is going from 180, which is where I think that you see it if it gets there, down to 130s.
Okay, so we have about an hour left. So everyone, please put the tickers in the chat. We're going to try to get through as many as we can. This time we'll go a little bit faster because these are less big tickers. And we'll keep going from there. Let's start off with Grab.
Okay, guys, when you're sending them, by the way, my request is that don't send any requests that have earnings within the next week and a half.
Yeah, hold on. So this is good. Don't send any that have earnings coming up soon. Do not send the penny stocks, the colors of the world. Jason's not going to touch it. And then please don't spam. I promise I see all of them. I'm going to try to do as many as I can. All right. Cool.
So Grab is it's gonna sit in the international bucket. Still, I think you're in the caution zone. So it's a nice bounce off the lows. 15% off the lows, but you're right back to that breakdown level. So I think you would be more prudent to be cautious than you can be cautiously optimistic here. But if it doesn't go, the only thing I'd say here is that it's got the international piece as a tailwind. Because if the US stocks don't go, then this is probably going to be fine. But if the US stocks do go, yeah, I think you could see a higher low. You'd want to see a higher low lock in around 430s. So you might get another opportunity, something like that before something happens. It's not a crazy bull market, so like it would be stutter step stop. So here I might be like, you sell covered calls on this?
No, I just have a ton of leaps on it. But I'm up on my leaps because I got them last month. So I agree. Look, I think in the next couple months, $6 is possible, but things have to go the right direction. Earnings has to be good. There's an acquisition rumor today. That's why it's up 3%. But
what are your leaps?
Basically $10, 2027.
June or
January. I've been thinking maybe of shifting it to June, but I think I'm going to give it another earnings to see how it plays out.
This is too cheap. It's a penny stock, so I actually cannot do options on this because volatility is not really something. It's not dependable this low.
Yeah, there's no premiums either to sell options on it. I mean,
yeah.
So, okay. Can we do HIMS?
35s. Oh, yeah, 31s. These don't look good.
Down 10% today.
I think this sees 20 sub 25.
Wow. Okay.
Unless 35. So 35, if it's over 35, it's going back up. But this is a small cap, low float. If it wasn't, I would say this trajectory is to go to that 200-day simple moving average. Yeah, quite frankly, this looks like a solid short candidate here. To the 25s, your stop would be at 35, meaning that if it's over 35, it is going back up. But until then, it's got to go lower to find more buyers. And the last place that was in the 25s.
Okay, Celsius.
Dude, I don't know what, like, I don't know.
It's the biggest mystery in the market why this freaking stock is green every day.
No, I mean, like, I know, like, a lot of people like, oh, it's Celsius, but I'm like, my question is, are these the same people that were doing it at 40, 45, and 35? Or is it a new group of people for new reasons? I don't know. Because I stopped following the stock. Also true.
It's holding up, though. It's up 14%. It's outperformed the Mag 7 the whole year.
I think there is some kind of story here. I'm not long. You guys know when I sold it. It was at like 30. It was 32s. I sold it. And I'll tell you what, if I hadn't sold it at 32s and I still had it, you guys know what I'd be doing right about now.
You'd be selling it? Wow. Interesting.
So it's the same, it's 31.50. It's the same spot, actually. So when I sold it, it was right here. Pretty sure this was when I sold it. And it's happening again. Is that like this area? I was watching, like, it has to get over. It has to get over. And I've been the same ever since, right? And I've been like, listen, I'll be interested if it's over, like holding over 35s, then fine, maybe. Or not 35s, yeah, 36s. And I'm not changing my tune on that. I don't follow it enough to know exactly what's going on, but like 36, 30, it's got to be like over that for a long time. This stock is down some like 90%, or I don't know, 80% from the highs. This is not, this is when you have a stock that, and I said this last time we talked about, when you have a stock that's down 80% from the highs, it's not a V recovery. This stuff takes time, because you would have to, for this to go back, you would have to earn someone's trust like me back, who was a Celsius owner. And I'm just like, no, I can't trust it. Not unless it's over 37, something like that. And if that's the case, cool. And I will forgo all the gains in between now and then, but it's tradable. Until then, 31.50 critical level. You guys can see it like just clear as day to me. But if it's not to you, I'll try to make it as best I can. And then I'll leave it at that. Because I know there's a lot of people following it. So like here, literally here, and you're about to come up on it one more time, 31.55s. So if it's in this box, I still don't want it. The box is between 36 to 31.55. If it does get over that 31.55 level, I will give you the fact that it's probably likely to go to 36s, which in its own right is probably not a bad trade. Another 15%. But I don't know how long it holds it. And I don't know what the turnaround story is. Maybe I missed it. I definitely missed it if there is one.
Okay.
Mostly because Amit hates on me and my Celsius since like forever ago.
Yes, exactly. Okay, real quick before we keep going, we have the astronauts are back home.
Let's go.
It's incredible. They just landed. There you go.
You know, I would have thought that Boeing would have gotten shellacked even more. Like when that was announced, it came back to my entry.
Yeah. Well, they are back home. Uber. Can we do Uber?
Not a long. I'm not. Oh, it's a short. I think I said that last time, but this is slow mover. It's not a long. It took my profit and I kind of like forgot about it.
They're holding 70.
So if I looked at this, I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to short this. I would personally wait for another lower high somewhere in the 78s, which means that maybe you can get a long for a little while, but be careful because there are people like me that'll be like, no, you're in the box. But it's in the box, right? And the box it's a big box, but this is the box, right? The box is from 80 to 63. And it's still firmly in the middle. So you know what they say. Don't diddle in the middle.
Okay, I didn't know that's what they say, but
they say.
You learned something new. There you go. Don't diddle in the middle. Reddit.
You know, Uber isn't short. This is a time frame thing. It could be a long term, but
okay, Reddit.
So for everybody that was wondering if Amit got a divorce, he did. He told me he divorced this. Like it wasn't even a divorce; it was a straight up annulment.
At 150, it was I'm out. I'm leaving. And I barely broke even. No, I'm not buying it here, dude. I mean, like, I bought it for the covered call premiums. That was the only reason I bought it.
Which I said you were crazy.
But it was really good premiums. But now the market's dude, but well, look, there was somewhat of a moat I liked, but now the market's changed. This type of multiple.
Market's changed.
Yeah, it's hard.
So if you see sub 80, are you interested?
I would have to look at the numbers. My target was more around 55 last time I looked at it. But
I mean,
I don't hate it.
Somebody's bearish.
Yeah, because dude, the multiple still is aggressive on Reddit. I mean,
sure,
they're growing well, but they're
so here's the last like power earnings gap, right? So at this point, if there's no appetite for growth in the market, it's $80, right? It's just around $80. First stop, right? When you get there, it could be 80 down to no, not 60. It's 80 down to 75. So in this box, but that's your first stop. Right now, you're really teetering. I mean, no, it really doesn't look good. It's not a good look when you look at this volume shelf.
Yeah, it's bad.
So since Amit started to learn technical analysis, he saw this and he was like, he starts shorting stocks, you guys. He starts shorting stocks, and this is what happens. Unfortunately, when can I short stocks on Robinhood? Amit?
Well, Vlad has talked about it. I don't think it's going to be like a year until they bring that there. I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
Come on, Vlad. It's just normal operations.
Yeah, but look, I think Reddit's multiple is aggressive in this market. In January, it was something you could justify paying, but now things have changed, and so I think that's good for long-term bulls of Reddit. But a lot of people are caught bag holding from.
See, this is still the same setup. This is where like you got to be really careful with this stuff. Is like it might look super bearish. It looks on the outside super bearish, but have you ever heard the term shorting the hole?
Shorting the hole.
Yeah, it's a trading term. It's like things are down so much and you're shorting at the lows, and you can get a very crazy short covering rally that just kind of like rips your face off. So like you have to be quick and dirty about that stuff here, because I would not short Reddit here. I would wait for it to be closer to like 135, and then
no, I agree. I would not short at 85 or 110, whatever.
110, right? Because it looks. Look, if you're just looking for a trade, on the outside, it looks like a juicy trade, but there might not be enough shorts piling in to get that big flush, which, you know, at some point maybe it happens, but you got to be really careful about something like this. This is a crazy mover. What's the average daily range on something like this? Do you know? I mean, this is massive. It's $20.
Well,
like,
yeah, $20. The covered call premiums still are great on Reddit.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's volatile.
Justifiably great.
If you are long-term bullish, and you know the CCs aren't horrible. Okay, can we do a new bank?
Not bad. I actually like this chart. I like it. It looks good. Is you're holding this 20-day simple, this white line. That's kind of like you can have a little ping pong in between now and there, but it's doing that exactly, right? So like ping pong, push the button, ping ponging in between these simple moving averages, and then finally get through the 50. It's just clearly a slow mover. It's not really out of the like weeds until it's over 13 and change. So you're going to fill essentially this volume shelf right in here is what you're working on. So you just barely hit this, but I think this does eventually get filled as long as it's holding the 20-day simple, which right now is going to put you right around 11. You could breach it a little bit. That's fine. But as long as it's holding 11, this looks like a good, slow, steady grinder. So it's not a short term. That would take a while, but slow and steady on this one looks like it could win the race.
Okay. Can we do AMD?
What am I looking for?
You're looking for
something
hope.
New?
Yeah, some hope for it to go higher.
Sorry.
You might as well go short, bro. You already hate this. Might as well just.
We said 90s. You got there. But I also said the same thing about like Celsius, and I said this last time too. You could get there. It was sub 100. It got there. I think that it goes sideways for a while. And let that one breathe. The best case scenario for AMD here is to actually go sideways for like another quarter, right? You might get a run up into earnings in May, but that would put it as a late April kind of bounce. Again, maybe to 115, maybe 120. If you ever see it at 120, you got to be really careful. But the best case scenario for AMD here now is that it starts to go sideways. Maximum upside would be like 111 near term. And that would just be up to the 50-day, like right in here. And maybe you get a little extension to 116, but that is it. And you're going to have to go sideways like for a while. And this would be the best case scenario for AMD. But mind you, that's a very long trajectory.
Okay.
Again, it's too deep for me to be interested in shorting it, though.
Okay. Can we do
this is when I absolutely sell calls and puts. Like this is a good one. If you really want to be long AMD, like you could probably sell some 95s, maybe 90 puts 42 days out, and at the same time sell some like 115, 120 calls around the same time. As long as you do both at the same time.
Yeah, especially because it's been in a range, which is the best for selling. Okay, Nike. They have earnings. They actually have earnings on Thursday, so maybe I don't know if that matters. But
dude, you're so fired. I'm picking Rivian because
okay, fine, Rivian instead. All right, guys, we're not doing Nike. Rivian. It really doesn't matter if they have earnings, then we can look at it, right?
The reason we can't look at it is because it doesn't matter, right? Because fundamentals supersede technicals when it comes to events specifically. It's at the spot that's the buy spot, but the story is going to change like Thursday, which is like 2 days from now.
Yeah. All right, Rivian.
It was a nice bounce, but she's not out of the woods yet, boys and girls.
Do you own this one still?
Yeah, I own it. I don't own a lot of it. I actually started buying it again. If I could see a sub 11. I don't know. I like this. I think they get profitable. They're really close, but you still got RJ to deal with, which is not Amit's favorite person. But
no, I like RJ. I just don't think he's that excited.
You do not like RJ. Every time RJ comes up, you make fun of him.
Well, that's because he does it like he looks like he's bored in every interview. He doesn't inspire me to like get excited about Rivian. But I spoke to one of the Rivian engineers back when I was in the Bay Area, and he's like, maybe he's just talking his book, but he's like, dude, like we are fucking crushing it.
Well, no. So the problem is like the engineers, the internal employees, they might know that the company's doing well. I don't know how many times I can tell you, like, and not to discredit anything, like people think that you're doing really good, but like, or maybe that you're doing really bad. And then like,
well, he said they'll be profitable by Q3.
Right.
He's an engineer. He's not,
but they're already profitable, but they're not net profitable.
Like, net profit, not gross margins.
Right. But maybe an engineer doesn't know that.
That's fair.
That's
very fair.
Like, see what I'm saying? So like, I think they're good, but you don't really know what the street really wants to know. Same thing, Redwire. Like I know that they're ordering more, but I don't know that means that they're making a lot more money. Okay.
Can we do PayPal?
Dude, why is this heater on? PayPal. Blech. Dude, where are these guys? I thought they were buying the stock back.
They are, but they keep buying it from people that are selling it to them. I feel like Buffett's going to buy PayPal, dude.
I think you start buying this.
I think why wouldn't I mean, it's not a dead company. Granted, they did guide for a transition year in 2025.
Technically speaking, in this little box is where you do start to buy. Right in here.
Yeah.
Down to.
I would be buying it if NVIDIA wasn't trading at these levels, right? Like, but if I look at PayPal versus NVIDIA, it's.
Yeah, it's the opportunity cost, right?
Exactly. Or even Google. Like I came up with that idea yesterday, and it's not original or anything, but any opportunity you get into has to be compared to the Mag 7s, which are fundamentally better companies and way cheaper.
100%. 100%. Welcome to the club, right? But the thing about those, like Google, dude, Google took forever to get its ass in gear last time, and I think PayPal might be in for a faster pop. But like, let's go look at 2022 lows. This was Google. I bought this thing. I bought it. When I say it forever, I bought it here. I literally started buying it right in here. 88s. Got all the way back to one, and I didn't trim. Retrospect, I probably should have. This time, oh my God. It took 6 months to get off its ass.
Yeah. That's when they were going through Bard and then Gemini and then all these random different models they came out with.
Well, no, it was the fool me thrice. Fool me once, shame on, or fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you're an idiot. It was twice.
No, it's fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times. That's
so I think this was the twice. Something over here. And then this was the 3rd time, and I was like, get the frick out of here. Exited stage left.
You think PayPal can be the same story?
No, I think PayPal might pay you out faster. Because Google's going to have to be a long hold. That's the only thing that's holding me back on Google. I know it's going to have to be a long hold. But yeah, PayPal can see 70s or 78s real fast too.
Oh yeah, wait, it's fool me once, shame on you. Then fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, we botched this analogy so bad. We just ruined it. Okay, can we do block?
It's like finding hay in a needle stack, dude.
That's correct.
So bad.
That's correct.
Right.
Dude, I came up with another one of these. Do you guys remember what's the other one I came up with recently?
I don't know. Why PayPal pay out faster is just because it's got a higher beta. Really, it's like it can get squeezy quickly.
Yeah, and they're buying back a lot of stock.
Yeah.
Okay, block. Steve keeps saying this is the most obvious buy in the market. What do you think?
Steve.
Dude, he's like swearing by block. And I'm like, how are you saying block over like a hood or even a SOFI? But like he's gung-ho on block. And the numbers are on his side, by the way. It's not like the numbers are horrible. It's trading at 14 times. I know you hate PE or whatever, but it's not like it's not cheap. You used to be a fan of them. So, well, I mean,
I say this. I have some leaps on on this. Like, small bit, but it's only because the options are actually insanely underpriced. Unlike PayPal, whose options are not underpriced, Square's options are very underpriced. So this one, this is an example of when leaps versus when not leaps. I'll tell you that Square's options are very underpriced. The stock is stuck in a range bound kind of situation. It's got a couple pops recently, but it's not like, you know, this is the burn it down quarter 82, but it is right back into that same area holding. But the only reason I'm okay with this with Steve, although I don't like some of his, I'm with Steve on this one. In terms of how you trade it is important. I think this one you can do leaps here and now because they are very underpriced.
what's your upside? 80 or 70?
No, I mean, like, you can go all the way out to the furthest expiration, furthest strike out. That's a leap. You can do that here now. They're half the price that they should be. Literally.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you think it's cheap here? Can we do?
I think the options are cheap. And I think that, yeah, maybe the stock is cheap, but again, sometimes cheap get cheaper. But the options specifically, you have a little bit of an edge in this one.
Okay. Yeah, let's do Bitcoin. What do you think about Bitcoin?
I don't like it. Can we do MSTR next?
Yeah, let's do both.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, why? Why don't you like it?
This is uglier than NVIDIA. It's just, again, it's a serious. So, like, it's all speculation, right? Can it bounce? I mean, sure, right? I can't sell my biddy that Vlad gave me the other day either.
Oh, what'd you do with that? Yeah, you gotta. Now
I'm
it's
locked. I have to wait like 30 days or something.
Oh, okay, got you.
So once I can get out of my 30 days or whatever, then we can do options 202 and maybe do a little trivia giveaway with some biddy. Well, we'll probably just do cash, huh? So I think it's consolidation. Look, for crypto, specifically for alt season, I saw somebody request ETH, like Ethereum.
Yeah.
I think that the alt season is canceled. I am seriously concerned about that. BTC.D is Bitcoin dominance. This looks good. This is like a nice little bull flag for Bitcoin dominance, which means that your money is not going into altcoins right now. Just the same though, Bitcoin itself doesn't look great. You're coming in to fill sub 70 kind of like volume shelf. Can it get choppy? Can you get a bounce up to 90s, even 100? You can, and it could still be a sell. So I don't have anything here to say that like I need to be buying this. I own it, but I own it in a way where like I don't ever look at my wallet like ever.
But hold on. Are you saying we're topping? Like, what are you saying actually?
We topped.
So 109 was topped. That's it. We're done. For this cycle, for the next 4 years, or for the short term? What do you? I mean,
well, so because Q2 is supposed to be it, right? So it's got to happen. Can it come down? It can, and it has to be somewhere in here. If you're long, stay long. I'd rather be long than short. But this area between 73 and 69, becomes your next buy zone. So this is not a buy zone by any stretch of the imagination. Like by any measure of anything, this is not an area where you get long Bitcoin. Just no. Like hard no. If you're long, you stay long. But if you're short, you stay short too. Unless you're over 86. If you're over 86, fine. And in that case, you're probably going here. But look at this. There's nothing here that's going to tell me that you're going that direction yet. There's no reason like for me to even think that. Even if you get this little bleep to 87s, I don't know. You got to get up through, come back down, hold 86s, and then cool, maybe.
Wait,
if
so
that's the case,
hold on.
fine.
If Bitcoin goes to 60, which is what you're saying, right? That it.
I'm saying low 70s, high 60s.
Well, that fucks Hood really badly.
Near term.
But that's my question. Is it? Do you think it stabilizes there, or do we make?
Hey man, there's prediction markets. There's all kinds of stuff.
No. But dude, crypto revenues was damn near half of the revenue last.
Which is why I think it sold off, dude.
No, but if
like,
if Bitcoin gets worse, it's going to sell.
No,
off
I get it, right? I get it. I don't disagree with any of that. Like,
I'm saying you're showing me the downfall of Hood when you're saying Bitcoin's going to 60K or whatever. That's.
This is where I'm like, I'm not really sure if Amit's actually a bull on Hood or not, because he's tying it so closely to Bitcoin.
Dude, they did $1 billion of revenue last quarter.
I know.
350 million was crypto.
I understand, but I'm telling you, I'm still not in Hood for crypto.
I don't care what you're in Hood for. The point is, it will react to crypto revenues.
I also understand, right? And agree that it could easily get shellacked. I don't, unless Biddy is over this fracking red line, which is $85,072. It's not going up, boys and girls.
Are you at least impressed that it's holding mid 80s?
No.
Why?
It's not. What are you
talking
talking about?
It's been holding 80 to 85 for the past week or past 2 weeks.
Dude, do you not know crypto patterns?
No, I don't, quite frankly.
Okay. Listen, you got it.
You're gonna 79 for like 2 seconds. And then...
There is a staple crypto pattern. It's called the fracking Bart Simpson. Do you see it?
Oh, you showed me this before. Oh, you showed me.
This is the Bart Simpson pattern. What? Ay caramba. And then it goes, then you have an inverse Bart Simpson. Wow. Which also happens. But dude.
Yeah, someone says right here, don't focus on prices, focus on volumes. My point around crypto and Hood is that you got to look at them historically. Go back to 2021 earnings. When crypto prices fall, volumes get decimated because no one wants to trade this shit.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, you guys.
And if it recovers in the next couple months, then volumes come back. But if not, then
and it could. We're one we're one fucking Trump tweet away from this shenanigans coming back, right? Like that's also true. And maybe just maybe the Bart Simpson fails kind of, but just prolongs its life. But it's doing this eventually.
I'm happy you brought this up. I haven't thought about it for a while. That is another thing that really will hurt Robinhood, and it will be great accumulation prices. But it is one thing that if you think Bitcoin's bearish short term, Hood's going lower. It's just that simple.
Dude, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, dude, they're like trading in the Trump market, 2020, 2025, 2022, whatever, 2021, is like, it's like walking through a storm with 2 lightning rods in your hands. Like shit can hit you at any minute, and you won't see it coming.
I mean, well, this Bitcoin reserve thing was a dud, right? Like that did nothing. So
Yeah.
that was the big catalyst everyone voted for him for, and that did absolutely nothing. So
I don't know why people thought, I don't know why you thought that he was going to go out and buy Bitcoin.
I was naive. I thought he was going to buy it.
At the end of the day, I think I give him the benefit of the doubt of maybe being like a legitimate like business person. So I wouldn't think that he can really assume that he can take taxpayer money and go spend it on things.
Yeah, and the reality of that caught up to me a week ago where I was like, wait a second, he doesn't have the fucking money to buy this shit. Where are they gonna get the money from? They don't have the money. So this is all bullshit. This whole White House roundtable, it's all, you know what really told me it was bullshit? When they asked Michael Saylor on CNBC, what do you think about him including Cardano and XRP? And Michael Saylor had to kiss the ring. And he was like, well, I still think it's good for the economy. It's like, no, you don't. You're the guy who said there's no second best. And so they're all acquiescing to get it done, but I don't know if they're
I don't think he's wrong. There's no second best right now. Okay, so Q2 needs to get it together. So maybe you got a month to figure it out on the crypto space, maybe. And Q2 is usually the bull run or the last hurrah, albeit we've never been exactly in this situation in crypto like we are right now. So it's always a little bit different. MSTR, I'm just not a fan of in general, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm more comfortable being short MSTR while being long Robinhood. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So I will have an active MSTR short on, and I do, while I'm very long Robinhood at the same time for kind of what Amit's talking about. Call it a Paris trade, call it what you will, but I sleep a little bit better at night that way.
Well, Robinhood's a real business. MicroStrategy is not, right? So it's different. Even if you're bag holding Hood, you're bag holding a real business. MicroStrategy is not a business.
So I added a little bit to, and I only do this like piecemeal, like a little bit short whenever I have like a big pop on MSTR. So I added a little bit at 300s, and I'm doing it with like MSTZ, which is probably not the best way to do it, but so added a little bit in the 300s, and then if I get to 320, I'll add a little bit more. If I get to 340, I'll add a little bit more, but it's in small little chunks so that like it's not going to kill me on that one, but I think it's potentially up to 330s and retest this whole prior breakdown area. I think that's your best area to short. This is the reason I'm also okay being short here now is that I have a series of, again, lower highs and lower lows just from here, lower high, lower low. I guess I have to pull that one last back, higher low, but still lower high. So I think I'm just not a fan. But if you twist my arm, if it gets over 300 comfortably, 320, but that can happen in half a session with MSTR.
Well, if you think Bitcoin's going to 60, then
But I love Hood, so I mean, like I said, I'm actively short MSTR and long Hood at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying if you're bearish Bitcoin, get out of Hood. All I'm saying,
I don't know that that's a great Paris trade either. Like
I agree. I just wouldn't be. I wouldn't be having high expectations for Hood if you're bearish Bitcoin. Is my point. But I wouldn't be bearish Hood itself.
You didn't hear me say Hood's going to 100 right now.
Dude, do you remember the day after earnings we called each other and me and Jason were like,
oh,
we're
boy.
going to 100 bitches. We were so hype at 6.
So bullish. I love the stock, but I think this is the damage that just happened is that we just went a little bit too far too fast. It wasn't even the fact that we went so low. It was the velocity that happened. It was just stupid. And it was maddening. It made me mad. You guys, I was very mad. Because I thought it was just stupid. But at the same time, I sat there and I'm like, I know that the market can be stupid a lot longer than I can be liquid.
Yeah, and if the market goes bearish, it's not that stupid because Hood's growth is going to reflect that. Like, it is what it is. Long term, I think they're going to be one of the biggest financial institutions on the planet. But short term,
yeah,
maybe 45.
yeah.
That's probably
Jonathan's like, when QT ends, it's going to go even harder. Like, yeah.
Okay, can we do NCLH?
Oh, yeah. The cruise lines actually did pretty good, and then they got hit like right away. It's the same thing. This is sideways. So I think, so technically everything is like this right now. Everything is like a little bit of a bear flag. This is a bear flag, right? But tomorrow is like FOMC. And so I feel like if there was like waves, like, and I hate Elliott wave trading stuff, but any Elliott wave people out there, just so you know, Ralph Nelson Elliott died bankrupt. It's all I needed to learn about Elliott waves.
I feel like that's a very aggressive statement.
It's true. Anyways, I do, we use the terminology all the time though, but like, I think this like wave down is probably aggressive enough, like no matter what, even if this is another little breach lower, it's good for a small bounce, which actually might even be a big bounce. This is in the 17s, high 16s, 17s. I think is fine. I would stay long equity here and look for some kind of exit liquidity in the 20s, low 20s, honestly, on this guy. All right.
Okay. And the same with Carnival Cruise, right? Because basically, they all went down on the Delta guidance last week, and they all kind of went up this week together.
Yeah, but this is, again, it's retail sales right now.
Yes.
I think so. It's not as bad. Actually, 0.2%. This is going to be very much like a FOMC situation for a lot of these guys. We get that. It's not the FOMC. It's the dot plot. We get the dot plot. But the other thing, I don't think the market thinks that we're going to have inflation. We're not going to have inflation, but I think that the dot plot is going to be a better, did you talk to them about this? The dot plot is going to be a better representation of whether or not there's going to be stimulus to grow, right? Like, is capital still going to be available, and what does that look like? So when we get the dot plot tomorrow, market will have a little bit better idea.
Okay, we got about 20 minutes left. You guys
in my group, that's all. So you get it's me and probably like 10 other professional traders, but like you get our day trades and swing trades. That's what the group is for. So if you want to see, like, we do streams like this is for Amit, but the group is for like our trade logs. So you see what I'm trading, how I'm trading, when I'm trading, entries, exit, whatever. Right.
Yeah. All of Jason's info for his group and stuff is on Twitter and YouTube, putting that in the chat. So you guys can check him out there. Can we do ASML?
What did Jay ask?
Who's Jay?
Jay Dash.
We're doing cruise lines and you can't answer. Oh shit, dude. I'm sorry. If I missed the super chat, it's because I was not looking at it. Okay, hold on. IWM. Is the IWM weekly cup and handle still valid?
Ooh, so IWM again.
Sorry about that, Jay.
I had your back, Jay. Just so you know.
Dude, there's a lot of comments, dude. Sometimes you miss it.
So IWM had the most damage early, right? When it lost this 225, I was like, it's gonna breach 200. We did breach 200. Jay's that was weekly cup and handle. Oh, okay. So weekly cup and handle. Yes. The way that's gonna work, you might get a little extra dippy dip. So when you're talking about a weekly time frame, you gotta be going like big time, all like super long, right? Like long dated stuff. Biggest issue is a big nasty double top at all-time highs, but I think that we've come back. That 199 bounce happens to be a solid retest of this. This is a funny one to trade. IWM is tricky. You cannot go long IWM when it looks really good. You have to go long IWM when it looks like total dog dookie. Like it's really weird that way. But so this is half back. We say half back, 50% retracement from what I'm going to call swing low October 2023, swing high November 2024. We are unfortunately seasonally not in the strongest season for IWM. It could make another little push. This is a decent spot to take that retest. Sub 200, I think you just slightly got it. Can it come in a little bit more? It actually can and still be completely valid. Worst part about this is that this can come in all the way down and still be completely valid. So it's not an easy one to trade. It's not a short-term kind of trade either on this. This, when you're looking weekly perspective, you got to be like 12 months out in your time horizon. Okay.
Do you have IWM still or no?
No.
Okay, so you're out. No small caps.
No. It's not. I'll watch it here. I had 195s is where I thought this could go, and we got really close. But yeah, you're retesting. Now it's just breathing here. This is, I think this can go sideways for a while. And then if I start to see something over 2 something, let me drill in a little bit more.
Jay says the 197 low that it just hit is the 200 weekly EMA on IWM.
It is. That's that purple line right here, which is moving, right? And 199 is a 50% retracement. So it's consolidating here. I think it's 211 is your 20-day simple moving average. So if you're over 206, I think you get to that 211 quickly, which is that it's CHOCH. That's change of character. And if you can reclaim 211, steel reserve, you're back in the game, baby. That's what's true. So 206, you get to 212, 211. And if you're trending over 211, you're in the game.
Okay, can we do Netflix?
So Netflix, I so should have shorted this yesterday, but I didn't. But it's okay. Just on a trade. So Netflix, so way up here, lost 1,000. We kind of knew it was going to come down. 855. I actually thought of all the stocks, I thought that this one could have seen 750 sooner than later. And it didn't. So it bounced. This one actually bounced real fast, faster than I was expecting. Caught an upgrade, 12%, which tend to be selling points. This 20-day, the 50-day here, you're about to cross here. This does not look great for Netflix here now. Now, if you're over 975, sure, fine. But 970s, like this area, is honestly where I was looking to short. And that would have been a really tight stop. So you just locked in. This is the first time Netflix has locked in a lower high. So break of structure, 950. down here. You're still barely holding that earnings gap, which you just kind of filled, but you locked in a lower high. I would be more cautious than optimistic on Netflix here and now. It's like, seriously. Now, if you're going to sell premium on any stock out there in the market, Amit, you should look at Netflix because that's some juicy premium. If you didn't
Wait. You think Netflix has good premiums?
It does.
Why are people betting on volatility around Netflix?
Because it is a volatile stock.
No, but isn't it like a Mag 7 type of name? Like, shouldn't the premiums be shitty?
Oh, so you agree it should have $1 trillion market cap?
No. I am just saying it used to be part of FANG, right? I mean, it still is, right? So
Oh, that's right. Why did he boot Netflix from?
I don't think he booted it. It just Mag 7 became a thing.
Yeah, but you know what? It had like better performance than the Mag 7 during that entire time.
That's true. Well, it went from 165.
Yeah, dude.
1,000.
Yep. But so this is what the rough part, like, so this is bear market, man. For a $600 breakdown, look who was trying to go long.
Damn,
That was
you were,
good boy.
yeah.
$600 breakdown to like $100 stock. That's crazy. 175. That's gross.
And then it just goes on a 10x or a 5x or 7.5x, whatever.
So I feel like this one would be more at risk, if anything. So again, one that I pared down substantially already. And I probably could have taken it short yesterday. Oh, well, but this is a setup that we've seen many times in the past where the momentum, if this goes any lower, the momentum can increase to the downside. And you could see that sub 800 sooner than later. But meantime, it's choppy. Like you could get this and hold. This would be your best case scenario. You'd have to breach what? You would have to breach 995. Call it an even 1,000. Ah, God, no, this is scary. Because even if you get to 1,000, it's like it's a psychological level. I don't know. But you have to get somewhere up there, and then you'd have to hold 970 strong. Otherwise,
Okay.
It looks like it's a risk. All right.
Can we do ASML and then we'll do Archer after that? But ASML. European name, semiconductors.
If Netflix does a documentary on this dragon landing, Netflix After Dark.
Do you watch the show on Netflix?
No.
I think you'll enjoy it. Season 1. You should try it out.
Really, dude?
I really think you'll
We
enjoy
talked
it.
about that, but I'm more like your action. I'm not really into dramas though.
No, but let me just say, my take on pop culture, I think, is incredibly undervalued because I have so little takes about good. So when I recommend a show, you should really fucking take it seriously.
But I like superheroes and superpowers and sci-fi.
Yeah, but You is a show about a guy who stalks a girl and like eventually kills her, and like it's a dramatic thriller, and it's like.
Okay, did you watch Trapped?
No, what's Trapped? I've never seen that one.
It's the same storyline, I guess. But anyways,
like the acting
on one of the worst movies.
Yeah, I've never seen Trapped, but I don't know. If you're not into romantic dramas, maybe you won't like it. But I think it was good acting. I liked it.
Okay, ASML. This is a sketchy setup, man. It's really sketchy. Like, I think that everything's good for a small bounce. 800s. I don't really, but this is such a tight spot. Like, if you take a trade long here, you could get your head ripped right off, like real fast.
I feel like if NVIDIA gets hit, ASML, TSM, all of them, right? Like
this is not where I want to take us along. So like this is right into overhead resistance, like where you can see it. So 735s, and I'm just taking this like exact order block right here. It's right into overhead resistance. That does not look good on the 50-day, meaning like it could come down. Is it a short here now? No, probably not. And even this little dip is like $20. This is in a consolidation range. So it's like not something that I'd really want to trade right now. There's no signs to me that this is coming out of consolidation either. Actually. So it does not look interesting to me. I mean, I'd rather short IBM.
dude, comeback hit of the century.
IBM?
IBM, bro.
I'd rather short it.
Okay, can we do Archer?
I think IBM is a short.
I mean, it's doing the best it's done in 11 years.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know, maybe.
It hasn't fallen. Why is this Teflon stock stronger than
Quantum,
Apple?
baby. Quantum.
Yeah, right, dude. That's why I'm like laugh. I'm telling you, I literally have been like, I've tried to set meetings for these guys in the Valley, and I'm like, yeah, I bring up the name. They're like, dude, you say that name one more time, I'm gonna hang up on you. Like, it's so bad, dude.
Wow. Well, it's outperformed.
Yeah, that's true.
In the past year. Okay,
It's a small business, and they pay the dividends not crap anymore, but not this high. Oh, here's ACHR. When Archer, this is gonna be, so this is like, is it a growth scare? Shockingly, Archer held up better than I would have expected for a real growth scare.
I agree.
Shockingly, because I would have expected fives already. Don't know what they said to hold it up, but also not at a spot where I would. So like you see this consolidation all up in here. Let's call it this area right here. Kind of looks like your Biddy coin. It's like you have the Bart Simpson setup going on here. Bunch of spiky hairs. You got the right ear forming.
It actually looks very similar to that.
It does.
I mean, it fundamentally, it probably shouldn't be holding these levels, but it is. So either it's going to break or it's going to keep holding.
Yeah, either you go up again because this low, because there's not enough short, there's not enough people interested in selling it or shorting it, two different groups, which means it can go higher, or it is, and this is it now, because it's definitively not getting over this 8.25 or whatever it is, and you have like, it's like nines. You have a lot of congestion, so you have people kind of stuck. What is that? It's a very tight range right there. Let me just switch this to a daily since it's basically a penny stock. You have a lot of congestion right in here around like nines, low 9, high 8s. So like it looks like you're going to retest it one time, but if you see a lower high below 940, the thing, it has to get over 940 to be even remotely considered back in the game.
Can we do JOBY while we're at it? Same industry.
See, now this is more like what I would expected to see. Maybe is it just a better company? Archer?
Does JOBY have actual earnings? Because Archer doesn't. I don't know if JOBY actually has earnings either.
Yeah, so this looks about right where I would like, okay, maybe a little bit lower, and I would definitely be buyer into this group of us like prior purchasers.
Yeah.
So meaning like this looks like it's a little bit more de-risked, because at the end of the day, I still like we are a month into the sell-off, quite frankly, but it is also seasonally to be expected. And right about now we get super choppy, and then April we would be back on the mend, historically speaking, if it wasn't for Trump, the Trump market. You know, walking down a golf course in a storm with fucking my 2 lightning rods. I don't know what's going to happen, what the next tweet's going to be. Intel, I don't think that that's what they were asking, but Intel, I think, had a good run. I actually went, I think this, so if this is a dead cat bounce on the news, this is where Intel would fail. Right here. Right? Meow. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we do ASTS? Another space one.
4 o'clock. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. No.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. So these are super headline driven. I only said this looks like it's going to retest the lows again, like in the 20 somethings, low 20s. And you might get another opportunity to nibble. That's what it looks like. So it looks like you get another opportunity, and then you'd have to trim again. But you don't want it to, you don't want to see it breach all of these. You have to have a higher low, 19. So like if this is the low, you have to have this hold 19. Because if that doesn't hold, what happens is that you get this, and then you get a little breach, and you bounce and fail. If you weren't sure what a gulag looks like, you would find out very quickly on ASTS.
Okay. We got about 5 minutes left. We'll do some quick ones. Dell.
If it does get shellacked, it's 14's first stop.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a spot. So Dell is like the only like infrastructure. I mean, aside from, do you know what Amphenol is?
No.
You know what Corning is?
I do not.
So they're 2 cable companies, Amphenol and kind of Corning, that were really like the underlying theme that was like an easy layup. Dell had a decent mention. Dude, did you notice today that like you're not doing this, but I was doing this, and like every time somebody got mentioned, I swear to God, it was like a sell then use. They got mentioned, they got a pop and instantly sold into. I was like, what the hell's happening? Except for Dell.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
You know, GM.
Oh yeah, that was.
It was like this. It was like this. This was the candle GM. It was like boop the whole rest of the time. No love. Dell is okay. I think 95s was my spot anyways to see it base out. I don't think, NVIDIA side, I think it has its own right. Look, the market does not understand Dell. If you saw Jensen's slide from Michael that he put up there, that is why I like Dell, but the market doesn't get that, right? So if the market does, they have to make new kinds of storage, connections, transport layers, all that stuff. Dell's the only company that will do the full stack from like power to server to storage to network and everything in between, and the services to put it all together. It's only Dell. That's it. But at the same time, jack of all trades, master of none, I guess you could say, master of servers. But it's too convoluted of a business, too many business units for the market to really grasp that. But I do think that $90 level ish in general was a good spot, is a good spot for Michael's company here. It needs to get over 98s, and then you're better. But I don't hate this at all.
Okay, can we do lemonade?
I knew the ticker right off the top of my head. No, this is the problem. Is insurance stock, but it's super high beta, super short float insurance stock. This ain't gonna act like your Chubb or anything like that. So get those ideas right out the window. Sideways to lower.
Okay. Costco.
Yikes. Ooh. Same thing. Has to be a higher low. Has to be. This has to be a higher low. And if not, you lose. Lucky number 888 is all over. But it would be kind of cool to own Costco shares at $888 and maybe even 88 cents. Let's look at Walmart while we're at it. Same thing. Gotta be a higher low. Gotta be.
If they come out with some consumer guidance that's not good, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, these are hot. Too hot.
They're really, I mean, Costco's, it's still at 45 times, right? It's still up there.
Mm-hmm.
Costco is trading at 49 times still.
What do you think? We take Walmart back down to 50 or what?
I mean,
problem is with all this stuff is if I take these, no, sorry guys, I'm joking.
Dude, you said NVIDIA was going to 20 today. You weren't joking. You're being a bear.
He's
saying,
so
I'm a
bearish.
bear.
Listen,
Freaking.
So on the right hand side of my screen is the volume profile, right? The problem is I look at this volume, and this actually goes for SPY. It's so thin up in here. There's not a lot of activity. It's so thin up in there. Like, it's just like, where did they go? There's a lot of accumulation in here, but it's so thin up in here. That's kind of the concern. And SPY is not any different.
Okay, let's end it out. Last 2 minutes here with Jason. Again, thank you for taking the time to do this. Jason's Twitter right here in the chat. Please make sure to follow him if you are not following. I'll put his YouTube as well. The Qs. Can we end it out with the Qs?
Yeah, I saw a lot of this. So, I mean, I touched on it. The Qs are going to have a lot more beta than SPY. I do. So I'll preface this again. If you're just joining, I think that we're done going down, but we're not ready to go up yet. So meaning like at the index level, and the individual stocks will be very different, but at the index level, right? I think that Qs can come down. They can see 465, 465.74. That's fine. And as long as they're holding that, we're just going to go down to here, test these local lows. And I think that that would set you up for a pretty nice springboard up to 480. The problem is that we're not going to be going up unless we're over this 480 spot 60, like a full day's open and close. And then in that case, we're going to go to 493, and we're going to breach over the NFP, or that 200-day simple moving average. And these are basically the two levels, right? Like if we retrace where we are, so 480 spot 60, what you need is 2 to 3 days closing over. You have 1 day that closed over, but you opened below. You need 2 to 3 days closing over 480 spot 60. And in that case, within a 24-hour period, you will probably be quickly at 493. I mean, literally a 24-hour period. And then if it can hold 493, then your dead cat bounce on QQQ brings you all the way up to 521.62 hard stop, right? And that's true, right? So the problem is like Qs are not as good of a look right now as SPY is. So like this is a March fundamental level, just as a comparison, because I think it's important, right? We needed to hold over 560. So similar, we need to hold over 565, and it's just like that, right? So SPY, this is the first bounce. If we get over 560, 563, we should, like a full day's trading, meaning we opened and we traded through and we closed above 565. We should see 578 in very short order. If we do that again, you're up to 600 on SPY for your dead cat bounce. But below that, you got to go a little bit. You got to go a little bit lower. And it's going to take you down to 460, right, for your next stop, right? But at 460, we're pricing the market at the same levels of June of last year, which is a really long time ago. I don't know that I can really get behind that. So that's why I'm like, even, excuse me, where we are, I'm like, I feel like this is enough for now. We're not going down anymore because we're not breaching new levels until we do, which is really weird. Like if we do start breaching levels, okay. But until then, I don't really see it. So it's up to JPL really. But we need it. We really, really look, we're at October of last year.
Yeah.
On the Qs. So as always, the Qs has a bit more beta, a full-blown if I were to do the same like exercise, 2022 all-time high retest on the Qs is sub 400. So that's what a bear market. So the difference between like turning this into like from a bear market to or like a regular pullback is here versus what's really a little bit deeper versus sub 400. So I think here you could get a bounce. You should get a bounce, but if it gets ugly, that's the lows. But this honestly, it's I honestly feel like it should bounce. Could I be wrong? I could be very wrong. But we stopped with 465.74. Got to hold 465.74 on QQQ.
All right. You're like Mozart when you're doing these charts, man. This is your fucking zone. You know what you're doing. So appreciate you. As always, Jason. Jason's YouTube and Twitter right here in the chat. Options 201, maybe this Saturday. Maybe not. But it is coming for sure.
We're packing for sure.
Wait, you're moving to a new house, like a brand new spot?
Yeah, a McMansion.
When'd you buy this new spot?
I actually, it's a family's family friend spot that they opened up for me. So,
cool. All right, dope shit. Thank you, everybody. Please make sure to show some love on Jason's YouTube and Twitter. He does this for free, 3 hours every single Tuesday, and we did like at least 50 tickers today. So
yeah, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. I would love to see a big, nasty bear market counter trend bounce. And then you got to be really careful because there was a lot of damage.
Gut feeling tomorrow, JPL goes hawkish or dovish?
Gut feeling is that.
And he's got a casting.
Gut feeling is that we bounce tomorrow, end the week completely neutral, and have to start all over again on Monday.
I feel like that's the most likely outcome.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah. All right, Jason. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Talk later.
See ya.
Bye. All right, guys. I'm out as well. We had the market open. We had Jensen. We had the market close. We will have the daily recap coming out in about 90 minutes. And that's it for today. Tomorrow is JPL Day. It's going to be really important. And then, yeah, we'll see how the market reacts to whatever JPL has to say. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I think we got through a lot of tickers. We got through a ton of stuff. So hopefully, I know we didn't get through literally everything, but hopefully there's something for everyone to take a look at. And we'll keep going and see what happens tomorrow with JPL. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow in the market open and later today for the daily recap. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.